What's up, Elonites? Welcome to the Tesla space. We got a few viewers in here already. I'd like to see that. Welcome to our first live stream for Battery Day. I hope you guys are excited. Let me know if there's any issues with the audio or anything like that. Like I said, it's our first time, so might have a couple problems here and there, but hopefully you guys can bear through it with us. As you can see, 25 minutes, 22 seconds until it's supposed to happen. As you guys know, Elon is notoriously late to just about everything. So I'm not 100% sure it's going to happen at exactly when he says it is, but it's supposed to happen in 25 minutes. We might be waiting a little longer if Elon follows his normal ways. But let me know in the chat what you guys are most excited to hear about today. Also, subscribe if you're new. Be sure to hit the like button on the stream. And again, I want to see you guys in the chat. Let's get active. I might submit my Battery Day question right now. What should we submit? Ooh, they've got a bunch of questions already here. Oh, we can upvote. I like this. This is awesome. This is my first time tuning into one from the very beginning. I always watch them a little bit after because I'm normally busy. Is the chat working? Oh, the chat's... My bad, guys. I had the chat popped out. I couldn't see it. Sorry. Hey, let's go. We got people in class right now. All right. Stocks. People are excited about stocks. The 1 million mile battery. That's definitely a big one. What's up, Yash? How much longer it'll run for, Perrin? Yep. Do I even skate? I don't, Isaac. I don't skate. Oh, if Tesla made a skateboard, that would be dope. Thank you, Yash. Appreciate it. It's going good, Cameron. How you doing? Hey, Jesus GC. Hey, Elify. What's up? All right, okay. We're gonna go through some of these questions here, and we're gonna hit some upvotes. I'm interested to see. Again, we've got about 23 minutes until it's supposed to happen. I don't know if that's when it's going to actually happen. So that'll be interesting to see. Here, I'm going to actually try something. See if you guys... Can you guys see the chat? No, it's not working. Now I'll figure that out another time. Nick, I haven't yet. Honestly, I haven't, surprisingly. I've been planning on it, but I'm a Tesla content creator now. It's been good, Big Wardy. What's up, Anthony? Okay, let's go through. We've got Jason S. Okay, I thought it was the same person. Jason S. If Tesla achieves its goal of massively increasing the world's battery production, do you envision supplying batteries to other companies, or do you see Tesla needing everything it can to produce for the foreseeable future? Oh, I gotta log in. Oh, I'm not logging in. That's a good question. I feel like the answer is probably pretty obvious. I don't know. I think they definitely plan on supplying to other companies, but maybe not right now. Their demand will probably need it. When are you going to get your Tesla truck? I'm hoping to get the Cybertruck as soon as it releases. It all depends on when they'll be released in Canada. That's always the delay for me. I was ready to get the Model 3 day one when it dropped, but it took, I think, another 6 months until it was available in Canada. Yeet, we don't actually have donations available, but thank you very much. If you want, I think actually I don't think we do. I don't know, Elify, if you're there, maybe you can check and see if we can enable that, but I'm pretty sure we don't have donations. We're not monetized yet. It is not Jean Defoy. Tesla to make an electric cargo van. I think that honestly I feel like things like that are going to continue to happen. It's just they have so many. They've got to figure out the Cybertruck first. They got to figure out the Tesla Semi. They've got the Roadster, but I don't think they're going to... Maybe they'll announce a new vehicle today, but I think if they do, it'll be the Plaid. And if not, it could be maybe like a Tesla Model 2 is what people are calling, or basically just a cheaper version. Yeah, we're not monetized yet, guys. So if you want, just watch... Before you go to bed, turn the videos on and just like a playlist and just let it run. That's how we get monetized. But anyways, let's see what else we have for questions here. Will the vehicle to grid be possible? What are the implications for the grid and for owners? This, I think, is pretty interesting. I'm really fascinated with all the solar stuff that Tesla is doing with the Powerwall. I think that's going to be really interesting in the future. I don't know how much they're going to be touching on that today, but I am very interested to see what's to come with that next, because I would love to get a solar roof. When if I ever build a house from scratch, if this channel blows up or if I buy Tesla stock and it blows up, then I would definitely put a solar panel roof on. That would be sweet. When do you expect Tesla vehicles to beat ICE vehicles on initial purchase price? Has the cost decline of batteries already made this transition possible, or how soon will it occur? What do you guys think about that? Thanks, Yash. I appreciate that. I like that, Mr. Big. I think this is the big thing I'm interested to see today. I don't know about you guys, but this is the big thing I want to know about today, is how much is the price going to come down? Maybe not today, though I think it's possible that they say something today about it. But how much can it come down in the next, let's say, year or 2 years with whatever they're announcing on Battery Day? Because that's really the main thing that I've figured out is what we should be getting excited about, at least from what I can tell on Battery Day, is how much can they bring the cost of production for their batteries down, which ultimately lowers the cost for us as Tesla owners. And I'm low-key I'm curious to see how much cheaper the Model 3 might eventually get. Maybe mine will be not such a good investment after all. Well, we already know it wasn't a good investment. If I just bought Tesla stock 2 years ago, I'd be sitting pretty right now. But, I love my Tesla, so I can't complain. Again, just want to say shout out to everybody who's supporting this channel. We're just getting started, and we got 35 concurrent viewers, so be sure to smash the like button if you haven't already. Subscribe if you're new to the channel. We've been up for almost 2 or 3 weeks now. I think almost 3 weeks, and the support's been awesome. Mustard, please don't spam. I'm gonna actually create our first mod because I forgot about that. We gotta make mods in here. Thank you for reminding me, Mustard. Time to buy some Tesla. Facts. But I don't know if you guys saw this here. I'm going to pull this up over here. Elon had some very interesting things to say on Twitter today, and I actually wanted to talk about that before we got into the stream. Where is it? I'm going to actually bring that onto this screen over here for you guys to see. Okay, so I think you guys can see this, but when was it? Important note about Tesla Battery Day unveiled tomorrow. This affects long-term production, especially Semi, Cybertruck, and Roadster, but what we announced will not reach serious high-volume production until 2022. So obviously what they've done is, I'm still assuming it's big, it's just not going to be right away. They're probably announcing advancements in the technology, but in terms of actually getting that into the production line so that it speeds things up, might take a little while. That's what I'm gathering from this, at least. I could be off with that. And then it says, we intend to increase, not reduce battery cell purchases from Panasonic. So a lot of people were speculating that they were going to be bringing production in-house. And I think that's still probably the end goal, but it looks like it's going to still have to go through Panasonic for the next little while, and LG and CATL. However, even with our cell suppliers going at maximum speed, we still foresee significant shortages in 2022 and beyond, unless we also take action ourselves. So again, I'm still supporting the idea that they're going to be getting into production themselves, but maybe we're not going to see that for a couple of years. The extreme difficulty of scaling production of new technology is not well understood. It's 1,000% to 10,000% harder than making a few prototypes. The machine that makes the machine is vastly harder than the machine itself. So obviously this is, I don't know about you guys, but this is some high level stuff that Elon's talking about. The main thing I'm gathering is maybe to just be a little bit more subdued on our expectations of what Battery Day is going to look like, which is kind of sad. I'm definitely here for something crazy, but that's what I'm gathering from that. So I don't know. What do you guys think? Hey, thanks, MK King. All right, let's go back to the questions. How are battery recycling plans coming along? How much is already being recycled, if any? That's a big question. I don't know if you guys have seen, but recently there's a big post on Instagram today that's circulating around talking about how we have about 7 years until the Earth's environment is basically going to be irreversible. I'm not looking too deep into that. This is a Tesla channel. Well, we do value environmentally friendly causes. This is specifically focused on Tesla, so I'm not diving into all of that, but that's a good question, and I am curious to know about it. That's true, LFI. He might be setting up the fake out. You never know. That would be classic Elon if he pulled that off, you know? Make everyone bring us down, bring our expectations down a little, maybe because he saw Twitter and YouTube and all these different places going crazy about what they're expecting to come, and then he comes in and drops the banger mic drop announcement. That could happen. Just core blocks. My predictions for today, I think we're going to, based off Twitter, I think we're going to see that Tesla is going to implement some production themselves, but not for a couple years. And I'm what's the other thing? I think they're basically, what I think they're going to do is talk about the new technology that they are kind of exploring and have made some breakthroughs in, but the breakthroughs are now going to have to be taken from kind of theory and implemented into the production, and that's what's going to take a long time. But that's what I think they're going to touch on today, is mostly the breakthroughs in research and development with regards to battery production. It's then going to take longer to actually implement it. So that's the part that I think is going to be a little bit less exciting. But I think they're going to announce the 1,000,000 mile battery. Again, I don't know if that's going to happen in the cars we're buying over the next year, but in the next couple of years, hopefully. So I think I'm not expecting massive changes to Tesla cars in the next 3 months or something like that. I think this is announcements for the future, but who knows? I'm trying to stay somewhat grounded with my expectations. Yash, I do, yeah. I think so, and I think that's why they're addressing it with the 1,000,000 mile battery, to try and, because if they can get a 1,000,000 mile battery, obviously we're looking at a lot longer life of the cars, and then I do believe they're doing a lot around recycling their batteries too. But we want full autopilot, 100%, but I don't know about that one. It'll be interesting to see when that happens. Tesla network. As soon as that happens, the Tesla network's going to happen in full force. I don't think we'll see any announcements about that today, though. What Twitter handle or YouTube channel that you have come across do you believe understands Tesla's battery technology the best? This is someone's just trying to promote their stuff here. Emmett P. I wonder if they have a channel. Is auto bidder something you envision making it to the consumer level at some point, allowing customers to earn income from their extra power wall and car batteries? That I think is really interesting. We might see something about that today. But it'll be interesting. I don't know how much they're going to touch on Powerwall stuff and how much they're going to be alternatively focused on batteries for the cars. But it is kind of somewhat blended together, and I have heard a lot about the grid and Powerwall relation and what can come from that. Thanks, Rohan. I'm honestly not sure, Mr. BG. At least right now, I don't know. I think it's in the 300 to 500,000 mile range. That's what I think. I can't remember off the top of my head. Tesla's master plan partner goes into detail on Tesla's long-term sustainable transportation strategy, but only offers 2 paragraphs on its long-term sustainable energy strategy. Can you expand a bit more on your long-term sustainable energy master plan? I'd like to hear about that. Look at all these shares, man. Look at this. 122,000 shares. What does that even mean? Institutional questions. Institutional investor asks, please may you share with us your thinking on whether the advance you have announced could enable Tesla to address other non-ground based forms of transportation. People want to know about the planes. People want to know the Tesla plane is a sexy idea. And Elon keeps teasing it. I don't think we're going to hear anything about that for a while. I would say they have a lot more work to do in the automotive space before they're going to be looking into planes. But that would be cool, and it's like definitely something to get excited about, but I would guess it's at least 10 years away. Anthony Romero, good question. Do you think Tesla will go down once all the other car dealerships start making all their car models electric? I don't. Honestly, I don't. And I don't think so for a few different reasons. One, Tesla doesn't seem worried about it at all. In fact, they encourage people to go electric with their, like the fact that they're all open source, their technology and a lot of the information out there so that people can do it. They want to produce batteries, I think, long term for other electric car manufacturers because and then they'll make money off of that. So I don't think they're scared of that, and they're just so far ahead of everybody else that in terms of price, in terms of quality, that I don't foresee these companies catching up anytime soon. And by the time they do, maybe Tesla will maybe there will be another car company that has a more successful electric car, but by that point I think the entire market is going to be practically electric. So even though Tesla won't own, let's say, like whatever it is, 70% of the electric vehicle market or something, I actually have no idea, so don't quote me on that, but the electric vehicle market is still relatively small. So when the entire market is electric vehicles, even if they own still 20% of that, they'll be doing better than they are right now. And Tesla's also not just focused on vehicles. Like they have so many other avenues that they're working on. So I'm not worried about Tesla at all. It would be cool if they made household battery that lasts a long time. I don't think they're really worried about that one. They're worried about powering your house, not the battery you put in your remote. But you never know. You never know. 10-minute mark. 8 minutes and 50 seconds. At least, well, there's probably a little delay on the stream. I'm not sure how much it is. Guys, be sure to like the stream if you're enjoying it. Be sure to like the stream if you're excited. Let's go through a couple more questions. We've got 8.5 minutes. I'm not going to talk a lot when the actual Battery Day event goes live. I'm going to minimize my screen. But I'll engage with you at the very least in the chat. And I will probably say a couple things here and there, but I want you guys to be immersed in it because I'm going to be immersed in it. I think the Porsche Taycan is actually dope, Darian. I think it's a really cool car. But for everything you're paying for, like the amount you're paying for and what you get, I just think a Tesla is way better value still. But it is dope. Like, it's a great car. I think it's the first car that really looks like it's making progress, I think, at least on the high end of the market towards Tesla. Assuming a lower battery pack cost over the next few years, well below 100 kilowatts per hour. This is the big thing. If they can get, I think he's going to announce that they're going to get under this within the next year. That's what I think. Maybe even to 90, 85. That would really lower the price a lot. Model S or Model X? I'm Model 3, man. I honestly think right now the Model 3 is easily or the Model Y are just so much better value than the Model S or the Model X. They haven't really updated those cars in a long time. Maybe they're going to be introducing some updates potentially today, but I think the Model 3 and the Model Y, if you're buying a Tesla today, you should be buying those. Like the performance Model 3 is almost as good, if not, it might even be as good as the Model S. I did buy a Tesla Cybertruck. Well, I did do the pre-order for the Tesla Cybertruck. Let me finish this question. To what extent will that cost saving be passed on to consumers? What time frame might we see a Tesla vehicle that addresses the broader masses from a lower price point? This is really the biggest question for me right here. This is what I want to know. How quickly can they achieve this $100 per kilowatt hour? And how soon will we see the effects of that? I think that's the biggest thing is getting a Tesla that is in the mass market price range of 25,000 to 40,000 or 35,000 realistically, because I know they claim the Model 3 was within that range, but it's not. It's a little bit more. Well, a lot more depending on what you get on it. But it's definitely more reasonably priced. Yeah, I think electric cars are the future. I think they're going to pass regular vehicles. What do you think about the BMW i8? I don't think anything about it. I don't know. I think it was cool, but it just looks like a transformer to me, and I don't actually know anything about the specs of the car. In addition to new battery innovations, how much we got? 5 minutes left. Ooh. Okay, last question. Maybe one more. In addition to new battery innovations, Tesla today appears to offer the best holistic EV in the market at a better value than competitors. I agree. I don't know. What do you guys think? I agree. Do you agree with that characterization? Is it sustainable? And what are the most important components to ensure that equation holds? I agree. And I would be curious to hear what Elon says about this. I'm sure he agrees, and I honestly, from what I've seen from Elon, I don't think he thinks anyone's really close. And I agree with him. I think they're just knocking it out of the park. I am a Tesla fanboy. I'm an Elonite, or we might change it to a Musketeer. Someone had a good comment on one of the videos. What do you guys think of that? Musketeers? I thought that was pretty clever. I'll have to check out the Nissan Leaf. I haven't looked into it. Darian, I would get a Tesla. Porsche is great, but I think what Tesla's doing for the world is also just so much more impactful. And for that reason alone, if the two cars were the same specs, I would just go with Tesla. Porsche is just making cars, and it's good, and they're great cars and all that. But Tesla is literally changing the world, which is kind of cool to just be a part of. So I would stick with Tesla, but honestly, I like Teslas better. But Porsche is my second favorite brand of car, aesthetically at least. Testons? I don't know. Imagining an Elon wearing a Musketeer outfit, yeah, I like that one. I think Musketeer is a really good one. We could definitely incorporate that. Okay, let's get back over here. Whew. We're getting close, folks. 3 minutes. Yeah, Tesla does have good mileage. The 0 to 60 is insane. I would say as a owner of a Tesla, I have no issues with it whatsoever. The only minor thing is being up north. I do get a little bit of battery power loss, overnight if I don't put my car in a heated garage, which is a minor inconvenience. Very minor. Overall, though, I can drive pretty much wherever I want. There's charging stations all over the place. You can go and, just the things that you can do with your Tesla compared to, I know some people are worried about mileage. That's a big one. People are like, oh, well, how far can you drive it? And you can drive it as far as you want. And the fact is, there's so many more bells and whistles within the car to make, a road trip experience even better. You can play karaoke in your car. You can play video games while you're waiting. You can watch Netflix. There's all these things that no one else has. Some cars now have the Autopilot feature, but Tesla's definitely going to be the leading one in that. So they're always going to be slightly ahead. And yeah, for that reason, I don't really understand. I get it, but if that's what you're worried about, that's definitely not a reason to not get a Tesla. Hey, someone, we're just talking Tesla today. What was your first reaction when Elon cemented on the mini Cybertruck video? Are you talking about when he threw the ball at the glass and it's shattered? If that's what you're referring to, I was dying of laughter. I thought it was hilarious. And I was worried. I'm not gonna lie, I was worried. It was definitely not a good demonstration, but once I understood what happened, it's fine. Because I literally did that to my Tesla, when I put when I did the video where I shot it, and it was fine. So I think it was just a mechanical error. Oh, when he reacted to my mini Cybertruck. Oh man, I was hyped. I was super hyped. We've got a few other things in the works that I think he might notice. I'm hoping. You know, I'll let you guys know here. I'll let you guys. Oh, 40. Never mind. We're not talking about it right now. I'm gonna leave you on a cliffhanger because shit's about to get real. I gotta get my headset on. Oh my god, it's about to happen. I hope you guys are excited. I hope you guys are excited. I don't know if it's gonna actually go down right now though. We'll see. No idea, Jack Acosta. They haven't said yet. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Bam. We got anything? Nothing? Come on. Come on. I don't know why I expected it to be right when it happened. Like, I wasn't expecting it to actually go live right then. I wonder how long he's going to make us wait. What do you guys think? 15? 30? I can see a 30-minute wait. I'm not going to lie. I could definitely see one. Neuralink was a little late too. Yeah. I feel like all of these are. I think by like 10:15. Okay. I'd be fine with 10:15. The tension is building. Elon is trolling. What do you think he's doing right now? You think Elon gets nervous before these events? Third 10, 30 minutes? Hopefully 10. I'm hoping 10. The tension is building. 100%. 100%. I gotta stay up here. I don't even know what it's gonna look like when it goes. Like, is this gonna refresh automatically? Like, what's gonna happen? Oh. Why am I getting no audio? No. I think we're live, but I'm not getting audio. Damn, I'm missing out on all this. What's the audio issue? It was working fine before. Oh no. Oh, clicked on my own thing. Let's watch a coronavirus update. Do we have audio?
Lag behind increase.
Okay, we get audio there. Why am I not getting audio? Maybe I'll watch it on YouTube. I wonder if they're having audio issues. Because I'm not... I can watch other YouTube videos. Because I can't even hear it. Okay, it looks like there's no sound on Tesla's end. A little bit of an error. Very interesting. Because, yeah, I'm watching other... Yeah, everybody's having the same issue. I mean, at least we're live. This is... Here, let me resize this for you guys. I'm sure they'll figure it out. Yeah, I'm sure they'll figure it out. Or maybe they're... I don't know. Who knows? They're actually on time. I'm surprised. Okay, let's go. Oh, they bit. What is going on? Have they been just rolling footage for the last 20 minutes and I didn't even know? $20K stock price target. That's wishful thinking. I mean, I'm not saying it's not going to happen eventually, but... Yeah, looks like it's just audio. Man, how do you have audio issues? I mean, I guess they're not professional streamers. They are car manufacturers. Model Y announcement. Yeah, you can only hear if you have Neuralink. Oh. What's going on? Yeah, Elon will come out like God. Tell us he's here to save everyone. 29,000 is your stock price point. No way. I mean, again, I think it's possible. I think honestly, I think the anything is possible with this Tesla stock, but not anytime soon. I don't think. Definitely not after battery day. I'm more concerned with what's the price going to be after battery day. What do you mean, why no video, Abdullah? It's like, this is live. Oh, I had muted my own audio, but still. I guess we might as well watch this. Ooh, look at that Roadster. Oh. Oh. The Cybertruck. I want to have a whole fleet of Teslas by the time this is all done. What car are you guys most excited? Well, what vehicle are you most excited for? The Roadster, the Cybertruck, or the Semi? Let me know in the chat. I'm not gonna reveal my answer just yet. Just water. Yeah, Anthony. I'm guessing maybe they were just rolling that footage as maybe without audio intentionally. Tesla stocks are 424 right now. But we should actually keep our eyes on that. $424 right now. Did it close? What time does it close at? Opened at 429. I'm interested. What do you guys think is gonna happen after this? You think the stock's gonna skyrocket after battery day? It's been pretty steady since the split. Had a little bit of a dip, and then, but overall it's been pretty steady. I'm gonna buy a semi and turn it into a house. I would love to. Think they're gonna go up? Yeah. Well, you never know. That's true, Hades. It all depends. If we have another Cybertruck incident, might be a little bit of a dip right after. But I think if there is a dip, I would probably buy in right away. Elon's waiting till the stocks hit 420 to start. He's gonna put a price lock on them. They can't go above or below. Guillermo, when did I start liking Tesla and why? That's a good question. Probably really got like maybe 3 or 4 years ago. I think the brand started to grow. There was a lot more awareness around the brand. And I'm personally not a car aficionado. I don't like, have some obsession with cars or anything like that. And growing up, my mom drove a smart car. So that was like in high school, the car that I would drive was a smart car. And that was kind of the first edition of like a environmentally conscious car. I know it isn't really right now, or maybe it is. I haven't checked the specs on them recently. But that was the first edition of one, and my mom is very, very environmentally conscious. So she always kind of instilled that in me at a young age, and I drove around the smart car all the time. So I was used to having a ugly, almost embarrassing car that you drive around to be environmentally friendly. And then the Tesla came out, and it's an environmentally friendly car, but it's like beautiful, it's a sports car. And obviously the more expensive models were just a little out of reach, and I didn't really feel comfortable spending $160,000 on a Model X or $130,000 on a Model S. So I didn't get either of those. And then as soon as they announced the Model 3, I was like, oh my god, I'm gonna shut up. It's happening. Please give me audio. There's no audio. We're gonna get some audio?
Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome
Good.
to Tesla's 2020 annual meeting of stockholders. We're really excited that you could be here with us today. My name is Al Prescott. I'm Tesla's Vice President of Legal. There'll be 2 parts of today's meeting. First, the formal part of the meeting will get out of the way, which will cover the 7 items that stockholders have been asked to vote on. After the voting, I'll introduce Tesla's co-founder and CEO, Elon Musk, who'll give a presentation about the company update and year in review. And then following the conclusion of the stockholder meeting, we'll start our separate Battery Day event. At this time, I'd like to thank the members of the Tesla team and our board, especially those who were able to make it out here in person today, as well as to our representative from PricewaterhouseCoopers, Tesla's independent auditor, who's also here. But before we begin, I'd like to introduce you to Robin Denholm, the chairwoman of Tesla, who would like to say a few words remotely.
Thank you, Al. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the 2020 Tesla shareholder meeting. A special welcome to the many Tesla shareholders that have joined us today in person, as well as online from across the country and around the globe. I wanted to start today's proceedings by thanking you, our shareholders, for your tremendous support over the last year, and especially to those of you who have been with us through our journey over the past 10 years since the company's IPO in 2010. While we have stayed true to our mission of accelerating the world's transition to sustainable energy, in many ways, our company has evolved beyond recognition over the past decade, and that is a great thing. In fact, the pace of developments and the evolution of Tesla has further accelerated over the past 15 months since I last addressed you in June of 2019. You'll hear more about many of the specific achievements from Elon later in the agenda, but I would like to take this opportunity to thank all of our Tesla employees across the globe who have done a tremendous job of executing and staying focused on delivering for our customers and shareholders as the world has gone through one of the most challenging periods in our lifetimes. As a board, we have always taken a long-term view. We have made decisions and supported decisions made by the management team that may not have seemed obvious at the time, but are delivering and will continue to deliver breakthrough results. But it's also important to remember why we do this. As a company, we are focused on addressing one of the biggest environmental challenges of our generation: how to accelerate the world's transition to sustainable energy. The last year in particular has seen a tremendous increase in momentum in the movement to sustainable energy from both shareholders and the general public. So in addition to developing amazing clean transportation and energy products, we are doing our part by contributing the right facts and information to this important issue. And we released an extended version of our impact report in April of 2020. In this year's version, we have covered in great detail many areas that
Am I the only one just thinking about when is Elon coming out? I had to unmute myself for that.
Impact, greenhouse and other noxious gas elimination, our supply chain efforts, especially in cobalt, and our culture and people focus. We hope that by continuing to put this data out there, we will underscore to the world the importance and impact that we are having as a company. Lastly, continuous feedback and input from our shareholders is essential for us to do our jobs, and I would like to thank you for your support in this regard.
This is just like a big spiel speech to like make people feel warm and fuzzy, but I don't know about you guys. I need my warm and fuzzies from Elon. That's where I'm looking for them.
Especially crucial to the board members as we
But
pride
Elon needs
ourselves in
a
adaptability and the diversity of
needs an
thought and
opening act, I
experience that
suppose.
we collectively represent on the board. This brings me to my final two things today. As today is his last shareholder meeting, on behalf of the board, I would like to sincerely thank Steve Jurvetson for over a decade of service to Tesla, the board, and our shareholders. You will be missed. Finally, I would like to introduce to you our newest member of the board, Hiro Mizuno,
Sean Callahan. Oh,
who until
no.
recently led the largest pension fund in the world. He brings a wealth of experience to the board, but let me hand over to Hiro to say a few words. Hiro.
Let's hear it, Hiro.
Thank you, Robin. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Tesla Annual Shareholders Meeting. It is my real pleasure to virtually meet you, Tesla shareholders, people who believe in Tesla's mission and its growth opportunities. I spent all my career in finance and asset management in Tokyo, New York, London, and Silicon Valley. Until recently, I was a chief investment officer of GPIF, $1.5 trillion Japanese public pension fund. And one of my priorities as an investment chief was to promote responsible investments, which aim to make financial returns while pursuing ESG agenda, such as environment and social issues. I believe in the market where ESG is becoming mainstream, purpose or mission-driven businesses will gain long-term investors' support. This is why I was interested in Tesla, where mission is to accelerate the world transition to sustainable energy. I'm very excited to join the Tesla team on the journey and hope to assist Tesla deliver what investors expect by further enhancing its environmental and social impact. Once again, Tesla shareholders, thanks for your support. I'm looking forward to seeing you in person next year. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thanks, Robin and Hiro. I will now call the meeting to order. Please refer to the meeting agenda that has been provided to you and posted also to our virtual meeting site. The time is now 1:49 p.m. Pacific time, and I declare that the polls are now open. We've already received voting proxies from stockholders over the past few weeks, meaning that almost all of the votes that will be counted were already submitted before the meeting. However, if you wish to vote now or to change your prior vote, you may do so through the virtual meeting site.
Or forever hold your peace.
For those that are here in person today, ballots and ballot boxes were available to you at check-in. Tesla's board of directors has appointed Computershare Trust Company to serve as inspector of elections for the meeting. Computershare has taken and signed an oath as inspector of election and has certified that starting on August 13th, 2020, the proxy material or a notice of internet availability of the proxy material were mailed or provided to all Tesla stockholders of record as of July 31, 2020. We have a majority of the outstanding shares represented at the meeting. So I declare that there is now a quorum present and that we may proceed with the meeting. The items on the agenda are as follows. The election of 3 Class 1 directors, Elon Musk, Robin Denholm, and Hiromichi Mizuno, to each serve for a term of 3 years. 2, to approve Tesla's executive compensation on an advisory basis. And 3, to ratify the appointment of PricewaterhouseCoopers, LLP, as Tesla's independent registered public accounting firm for the fiscal year of 2020. Tesla's board has recommended that our stockholders vote for each of the director nominees and for each of those proposals. In addition, we have also received 4 stockholder proposals, as described in the proxy statement. I would like to remind our stockholders that Tesla's board has prepared a statement in opposition to each of these proposals, which appear in the proxy. The first stockholder proposal is an advisory vote regarding paid advertising. Our board has recommended that our stockholders vote against this stockholder proposal. This stockholder proposal comes to us from James Danforth. However, Mr. Danforth has notified us that neither he nor his representative will be presenting the proposal at the meeting today. So we will continue. The second stockholder proposal is an advisory vote regarding simple majority voting in our governing documents. Our board has recommended that our stockholders vote against this stockholder proposal. The proposal comes from James McRitchie, who is on the line to present the proposal today. Mr. McRitchie, I would like to invite you now to present. You'll have 3 minutes.
Yo, look at all the Teslas.
I'd like to thank
Oh
the
my
board
God,
for
there's so
holding
many.
such an innovative hybrid meeting during these difficult times. Proposal number 5 basically
Those are
asks
people.
for a majority voting standard to amend bylaws. I first introduced a proposal on this subject at the 2014 Tesla meeting. Supermajority provisions are generally used to entrench incumbent directors and managers. Academic research finds that reducing such devices is associated with higher returns. The board's opposition statement argues they tried to adopt a majority standard last year, but shareholders rejected it. However, 99.6% of shares voted for the proposal. Only 0.4% voted against it. The problem was that a little more than 35% of shares went unvoted. The vast majority of retail shareholders often don't bother to vote. Since only 65% of shares were voted, we didn't achieve the 66.67% necessary to overturn the current supermajority bylaw. It appears the proposal failed primarily for 3 reasons. 1, the board put
There's
forth
so
less
many.
than robust
Oh my
arguments
God.
in favor.
They're all Model
2,
3s,
they
dude.
added confusion with another proposal to reclassify the board not into a single class, that's the norm, but into 2 classes, elected in alternating years. Third, the board also failed to make a substantial effort to solicit votes in favor. Also, please consider this proposal in context with other poor corporate governance provisions at Tesla. First, shareholders can only remove directors for cause. What that basically means is the director has to be caught in criminal activity for shareholders to remove them. Second, because the board is divided into three classes, shareholders can only hold individual directors accountable every 3 years. And third, shareholders cannot call special meetings nor can act by written consent. I hope you will agree. Corporations should not be democratic free zones. Vote for proposal number 5 so that 33% of shares cannot overrule the wishes of 67%. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. McRitchie. We'll now move on to our third stockholder proposal, which is an advisory vote regarding reporting on employee arbitrations. Our board has recommended that our stockholders vote against this stockholder proposal. This proposal comes from NIA Impact Capital, whose representative, Kelly Hall, is on the line to present the proposal today. Ms. Hall, I'd like to invite you to go ahead and present. You'll have 3 minutes.
Hello, my name is Dr. Kristen Hull, and I'm the founder and CEO of NIA Impact Capital. I formally move Proposal 6. This resolution requests that Tesla's Board of Directors oversee the preparation of a report on the impact of the use of mandatory arbitration on Tesla's employees and on its workplace culture. The report will evaluate the association of Tesla's current use of arbitration with the prevalence of both harassment and discrimination in its workplace, and on employees' ability to seek redress should harassment or discrimination occur. This proposal speaks to the widespread experience of discrimination in the workplace by Black, Latinx, and female employees, despite this discrimination being unlawful under the Civil Rights Act of 1964. Tesla has faced a number of serious allegations of racism and sexism at its Buffalo and Fremont plants. Companies that allow bias, discrimination, and harassment in their workplaces are at risk for unnecessary legal, brand, financial, and human capital issues. Support for this resolution is warranted for the following 5 reasons. 1. Research shows that companies benefit from diverse and inclusive workplaces. 2. Corporate policies that allow harassment and discrimination risk investors' capital. 3. The use of arbitration exposes investors to an unknown level of risk. 4. Broad concerns exist with respect to fair treatment in Tesla workplace, and Tesla employees have alleged harassment and discriminations on the basis of both race and gender. Tesla, a company investors love for its innovation, leadership, and wise moat, is increasingly lagging behind its peers in its disclosure related to workplace diversity, equity, and inclusion. Unlike the forward-thinking and innovation in its extraordinary product line, Tesla has not shown proactive leadership in building a positive company culture or in addressing concerns about its workplace practices. In these material issues, Tesla lags behind its technology and automotive competitors. The use of arbitration limits employees' remedies for wrongdoing, precludes employees from suing in court, and often keeps underlying facts, misconduct, or case outcomes secret, therefore preventing employees from learning.
For everyone wondering, this is just kind of, they have to do this. I know it's a little bit boring, but there is some interesting stuff if you dive deeper into what they're talking about. But I know, not really what we're all here for, but be patient. It's coming.
To maintain Tesla's wide moat, it is essential that the board seriously assess the implications of the use of arbitration and that Tesla begin to take seriously the need to ensure a fair, equitable, positive, and inclusive workplace. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Hall. Our fourth and final proposal is an advisory vote regarding reporting on human rights. Our board has recommended that stockholders vote against this proposal. This proposal comes to us from the Sisters of Good Shepherd, New York Province, whose representative, Terrence Collingsworth, is on the line to present today. Mr. Collingsworth, I would like to invite you to speak now. You have 3 minutes for your proposal.
Thank you. I'm Terry Collingsworth, Executive Director of the International Rights Advocates. I'm here representing the Sisters of Good Shepherd, New York Province, to present Item 7 on human rights disclosure, which calls upon Tesla to issue a report to describe board oversight of human rights and its human rights due diligence process, including systems to provide meaningful remedies when human rights impacts occur. Tesla faces serious human rights issues, and failure to establish a culture of respect for human rights will expose Tesla to new liability issues and significant reputational injury, all of which will have a material impact on the company and its shareholders. The need to set a new course for human rights compliance at Tesla is glaring. Here are 5 examples of human rights violations
This is
occurring
interesting.
now
Pay attention
in
to this.
Tesla's operations. Racism, sexual harassment, and disregard for human safety and dignity harm workers at the Gigafactory 2 in Buffalo, New York
Elon's
every single
stressed.
day, and those workers urge you to remember their experiences in your vote. Tesla is experiencing serious labor relations issues at its production facilities and is actively discouraging union organizing. Workers are being exposed to COVID-19 and then are facing retaliation when they ask for greater protections. There are numerous worker health and safety violations as well as wage and hour issues. And finally, there are serious, even deadly human rights violations occurring in Tesla's global supply chains. On this last issue, my organization brought the pending suit against Tesla for using cobalt mined in the Democratic Republic of Congo by young children. I personally met young boys who lost limbs or were paralyzed in cobalt tunnel collapses. Tesla sources cobalt from these very mines, and its claim to have, quote, zero tolerance for child labor in its supplier code of conduct is simply not true. Tesla is not only tolerating child labor in its cobalt supply chain, it is tolerating the death and maiming of young child miners. This demonstrates why the company must circle back and begin a process to report on its treatment of human rights issues as requested in this proposal. I think consumers will have zero tolerance for a company that is exposed as being indifferent to killing and maiming child miners. We are hopeful that Tesla's innovative spirit can be brought to bear on making human rights a priority at the company. For example, if Elon Musk cared about implementing a zero-tolerance child labor policy, instead of having a useless paper policy, Tesla could employ satellites or drones at every mine it sources from to actually monitor child labor. I encourage all Tesla shareholders to vote for Item 7, Human Rights Disclosure. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Mr. Collingsworth. At this time, I'd like to thank our stockholders for all of their
This guy just ignored it.
participation
No.
in today's meeting, and for those who just presented on the line. I'd also like to read some of the comments that have been submitted by you.
Okay, if
over
I
the
hear
course of the
anything,
meeting.
basically what that last guy talked about
First
is a pretty
comment
big
comes
issue.
from
You might have
Michael
noticed it
Overbaugh.
in the Battery Day video
I
we
take great
posted
pride in the
yesterday,
fact
that
that
there
we haven't
are
had to stoop to the
a
level
lot of
what
issues with the
advertising
supply
represents
chain around
to
battery
get
production,
where we are
cobalt being the
today.
specific one they're referring
I'd
to.
hate to give in to that kind of temptation
Child
now,
slavery, child,
when we're so close to becoming a household name that's based solely
like
on our merit
child
alone.
labor, things like that.
But
And then obviously,
if
I don't know if
assets
you
do
guys have
end
heard,
up
but there
having to
are
be
a
set
lot
aside
of
for marketing,
negative
I'd like to suggest
aspects that are
that
being
rather
talked
than
about with
shoving ads
regards
down
to
the customer's
Tesla's
throats, we establish some
like
sort of
working for
hardcore
Tesla, like it being a
nationwide
negative environment,
campaign
being
and event
very, I mean,
with the
they
goal of
don't
getting
claim
as
that
many
it's not
people
high
as possible
stress, and
behind
you
the
are
wheel of a
making a
Tesla
lot of
for an introduction drive.
important, doing
well
a lot of
known how
important
far
work, but there's a
just
lot of
doing that
stuff out there
alone
about
goes
it
to
being
converting
a
people
pretty
into
negative
fans.
place to work at. So
A line I
those are
recently
big
ran
issues
across
that that
says,
guy just brought up, and it'll be
you can
interesting to
talk
see what
all
they say
about the
about it.
specs as much as you want, but when it comes to buying a car, what ultimately puts butts in seats is the feeling that the vehicle gives you. By demonstrating that Tesla clearly has both the specs and the feeling, what more needs saying? Our second comment comes from the United Steelworkers on behalf of the Clean Air Now Coalition of Western New York by Sabrina Liu.
Like these
Proposal,
are
and it
obviously
reads as follows.
bad
Proposals
things,
6 and
but
7
every
up for vote this year
major company
are
has
the results
issues
of
like this.
widespread concern
It's hard
about
for them to keep
mistreatment of
track
Tesla
of
workers at
the
US
supply chain
factories
all the way back, which is
across
why
the
I
supply
think
chain.
implementing some type of
It is
policy
clear
is
that Tesla
important.
is not interested in
But
addressing the
like
harm
literally
they have
every
caused
company
to their
that you can
workers,
think of has
as the
either
board is
currently
advising
has issues,
shareholders
doesn't
to
even
vote
care about them,
against the proposal.
or has had issues like this in the
We're
past. So
urging
as long
all
as they do
shareholders
something
to
about
vote
it,
in favor of proposals 6 and
fine.
7. And on behalf of
well,
our
it's not
workers
fine, but
at the United
it's important they
Steelworkers
do something
here in
about it.
Western New York, and for Tesla employees across the country and across the global supply chain, while this doesn't repair the harm that's already been caused to countless employees, nor repair harm to children and communities forced into slave labor in the DRC, they represent steps towards a more just workplace at Tesla. This concludes all of the comments. Thank you all for your participation in the comments. We'll now have a final opportunity for any of you to submit proxies in order for them to be counted. So I'll pause and wait for a moment for you to do that.
Sorry, I missed part of that. I was talking over them. Sounds like they're doing something, but I didn't quite catch what it was to improve the work environment.
Okay.
At least
I declare that the
in North
polls are now
America.
closed. So based on the proxies that we have previously received, I'd like to announce on a preliminary basis that our stockholders have approved the recommendations of Tesla's board on all agenda items, other than the stockholder proposal for an advisory vote regarding simple majority voting in our governing documents. After the final tabulation is completed, we'll formally announce the results of the voting by filing a Form 8K with the SEC within 4 business days of today. This now concludes the official business of Tesla's 2020 annual stockholders meeting, which is now adjourned. Next, we will have a company update and a year in review presented by Elon.
Yeah,
and then we will start
baby.
our Battery Day event. During the course of those following sessions, we may discuss our business outlook and make forward-looking statements. Such statements are predictions based on our current expectations. Actual events or results could materially differ due to a number of risks and uncertainties, including those disclosed in our most recent 10-Q filed with the SEC. These forward-looking statements represent our views as of today. They shouldn't be relied on after today, and we disclaim any obligation to update them after today as well. We will now continue with the company update and year in review. And it's my pleasure to introduce Tesla co-founder and CEO, Mr.
Elon Musk. They're all honking the horns. Yo, drop a like on the video for Elon.
Hey everyone. Well, I mean, this is definitely a new approach. We got the Tesla drive-in movie
I'm gonna
theater.
go disappeared mode so you can hear Elon.
It's good to see everyone. It's a little hard to read the room with everyone being in cars, but it's it's the only way we could do it. So hopefully it's cool, and hopefully you can hear me. Can you guys hear me? Okay. All right, great. All right, well, thanks for coming. I think it's been an incredible year, and I'd like to thank you for your support through tough times, good times. It's been great. Really appreciate everyone who's put their hard-earned money into Tesla, and I think it's worked out pretty well. This has been a good year, and I think there's many good years to come. So I'll go through the sort of the shareholder presentation, I think, fairly quickly, because the sort of real main event here is Battery Day. So, really, I'm just going through a recap of what's happened over the past year or so. I think starting from in terms of our ability to create a factory, huge kudos to the Tesla Shanghai team for being able to go from literally a dirt pile to volume production in 15 months. It's like, damn. Yeah. So, and I think something that's really quite noteworthy here is Tesla is the only foreign manufacturer to have a 100% owned factory in China. So this is often not well understood or not appreciated, but to have the only 100% owned foreign factory in China is a really big deal, and it's paying huge dividends here. So we really wouldn't have the results that we have had this year without the great efforts of the Tesla China team. So I'm super appreciative of that. And we'll see the Shanghai factory continue to scale quite a bit from where it is right now. I think we really could expect that to be, over time, a factory that produces over 1 million vehicles a year. Yeah, it's cool. So let's see. So we also reached in the past year volume production of the Model Y, and this was the smoothest launch that we've ever had. So I think we're definitely getting better at new vehicle launches and building factories and scaling production. As you've heard me say before, it's the hardest thing is scaling production, especially of a new technology. It's insanely difficult. Making a prototype is relatively easy, and if I think of like what is the real achievement of Tesla in sort of car company terms, it's like it wasn't making sort of exciting prototypes. It was that Tesla was really the first company in about a century in the U.S., the first U.S. company in the U.S. to reach volume production and be sustainably profitable. Like the crazy thing is this has really not happened in 100 years. That's the actual super hard part. And we now have 4 vehicles in volume production, S3, XY. So also the toughest joke, I think maybe ever. It was a very difficult joke to make. So we also introduced the lowest cost solar in the US. It's only $1.49 a watt. And we really just simplified the whole value chain. So reduced sales and advertising, got rid of a bunch of unnecessary costs, and really are just relying upon the fact that it's just the lowest cost, most efficient solar in the US, providing both retrofit and the solar glass roof, which I think is a really great product, a hard product to make work, but it will be a major product line in the future. And we also got 4 consecutive quarters of GAAP profitability, which was very difficult. Yeah. So, and certainly a testament to the hard work of people at Tesla. I mean, to do this in extremely difficult times against a wide range of adverse circumstances was insanely hard, but we got it done. So, and I think the future is looking like I think very promising from sort of an annual profitability standpoint. So, in order to achieve, in order to sort of do well financially, you really need economies of scale, and you need ideally the best technology. And I think we had the best technology for a while, but now we are also achieving economies of scale. So, and we're also rapidly improving autonomy, which is a massive value add to each car. So, you know, I think the value of Tesla is going to be like total, just on the vehicle side, total vehicles produced times the value of autonomy. That's a way to think about the future value of Tesla. We also have consistent free cash flow generation. This is really important for growth. And a key element here is tightening up the time from when a car is ordered to when it is built and delivered. So for a company that's growing rapidly, it's extremely important to tighten the supply chain and to have, from when parts arrive, put it into a car very quickly and deliver the car very quickly to the customer. And if you can do that inside the sort of your kind of payables timeline, then the faster you grow, the more cash you have. Or conversely, if you're unable to do it within your payables timeline, the faster you grow, the less money you will have, which is obviously bad. It's for a capital-intensive situation. So just tightening up and having the parts move very quickly to the factory, put it in a car, get it to a customer, makes a massive difference to cash flow generation. And I mean, that's why it's extremely important to have a factory in each continent. Because if you don't at least have a factory in the continent, it is impossible to achieve this. So having a factory in China that's able to serve China, and then soon many other countries in the region, will be key to us tightening that total sort of chain of cash flow and getting it, essentially the faster we grow, the more cash. This is really important. That's also why it's important to have Giga Berlin complete, because then we'll have a factory in China, a factory in the US, and soon a second factory in the US in Austin, and a factory in Europe. And I mean, even if for Giga Texas in Austin, even if we had exactly the same costs as in California, it would still be advantageous to do it there, because it's roughly 2/3 of the way across the US. So in terms of delivering cars to the central US and to the East Coast, it's just faster, costs less, and it fundamentally improves our economics. So I think this is also maybe something that's not fully appreciated of just how important it is to have a factory at least on the continent or reasonably close to where the end customers is, so you can tighten that whole chain. Industry performance. While the rest of industry has gone down, Tesla has gone up. I think this speaks to. Thanks.
You see Elon flexing.
So I'd like to thank
You see him flexing. Look at that industry comparison.
Really
Come on.
This is really, our sales, as Al was saying, really grow by word of mouth. So this is really, I think, a very pure. It's very pure in the sense that it's growing on the basis of existing owners recommending
zero marketing
to new customers. This is really, I think, a good way to grow.
Yeah. So true.
So
best marketing tool is word of mouth.
In 2019, we had 50% growth.
Look at that graph.
And I think we'll do pretty well in 2020. Probably somewhere between 30 to 40% growth, despite a lot of very difficult circumstances. I mean, there's so many, pandemic, wildfires. It's like a whole bunch of difficult production issues. But thanks to the hard work of the Tesla team and a lot of innovative approaches to overcoming issues, we're able to still see significant growth in one of the most difficult, in fact, I say probably the most difficult year of Tesla's existence.
So true.
And we also published our extended impact report. At Tesla, we try very hard to do the right thing. If the right thing does not happen, it's just because we maybe made a mistake or weren't aware of it. But we always try to do the right thing to the best of our ability. And then we published the extended impact report to show, just a sort of a self-examination of, okay, what are we doing right? What are we doing wrong? What can we do better in the future? We're definitely trying to accomplish the most good, and so, if we occasionally make a mistake, we work quickly to fix it and do the right thing. So, it's worth looking at the average life cycle emissions in the U.S. And just how much better a Tesla is or an electric car than any other than any kind of gasoline car. And what we'll talk about in the battery day is also just how much the grids around the world and actually, especially in the U.S., are greening. It's actually much faster than I think people realize. The U.S. is moving towards sustainable energy. And so as we move more and more to sustainable energy, then effectively you end up building the solar factories and the car factories themselves with solar. Over time you do, or with sustainable energy. Over time you'll even mine with sustainable energy, and eventually it will get to an effective emissions of 0. So that's where things will end up. Yeah.
Honk, 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 honk. I need to get a sound effect for that next time.
The Tesla cars are the safest cars ever designed. we have the lowest probability of injury of any cars ever tested by the U.S. government, and that's just passive safety. When you add active safety into that, it's even better. You know, it's really, if you know, if safety is important to you, which obviously it is, the safest car you could drive is a Tesla. So, you know, I think some people aren't aware of this, but it's really, safety is paramount. It is actually the #1 design objective when we build a Tesla is safety. Our factories are also becoming safer, and if you look at the sort of accidents per total vehicle made, it's dramatically better than in the past, and it's already better than industry average, and we're confident we can get it to the best in the auto industry. Autopilot functionality continues to improve, and you can see it in the safety report that we publish every quarter. It's just getting better and better. The U.S. average for collisions is at roughly 2.1 per million miles, and with Autopilot engaged, it's 0.3. I mean, this is a profound difference. It really massive, and this will get even better. So we're confident that over time we can get the probability of an accident, especially the probability of injury, to 10 times better than the industry average, like an order of magnitude better. So that's just a lot of lives saved and a lot of injuries avoided. So that's a huge priority for us. On the Autopilot front, I think it's kind of hard for people to judge the progress of Autopilot. Like I'm driving. As a matter of course, I've always done this. I drive the bleeding edge alpha build of Autopilot, and so I sort of have insight into what is going on. Previously, about a couple of years ago, we were kind of stuck in a local maximum. So we were improving, but like the improvements kind of started tailing off and just not getting where they needed to be. I call this sort of getting trapped in a local maximum. And so we had to do a fundamental rewrite of the entire Autopilot software stack, and all of the labeling software as well. So we're now labeling in 3D video. So this is hugely different from previously where we were labeling essentially a bunch of single images from the 8 cameras, and they would be labeled at different times by different people. And some of the labels, you literally can't tell what it is you're labeling. So it basically made it sort of in some cases impossible to label, and the labels had a lot of errors. Now, with our new labeling tools, we label it in video. So we actually label entire video segments, and the system, so you get basically a surround video thing to label, and with the surround video and with time. So it's now taking all cameras simultaneously, and looking at how the images change over time and labeling that, and then the sophistication of the neural nets in the car and the overall logic in the car has improved dramatically. I think we'll hopefully release a private beta of Autopilot, or the full self-driving version of Autopilot, in I think a month or so, and then people will really understand just the magnitude of the change. It's profound. So yeah. Anyway, so you'll see it's just like a hell of a step change. But because we had to rewrite everything, labeling software, just the entire code base, it took us quite a while, and the sort of new sort of, I call it like 4D in the sense that it's 3 dimensions plus time. It's just taken us a while to rewrite everything, and so you'll see what it's like. It's amazing. Yeah, it's just clearly going to work. Tesla core competencies, we've got engineering, obviously. But also manufacturing. I think manufacturing is underappreciated in general, and the difficulty of designing the machine that makes the machine is vastly harder than the machine itself. So, the designing, like making a Model 3 or Model Y or Cybertruck prototype is really quite trivial compared to designing the factory that makes it. Especially if it's new technology and you want to use new manufacturing methods, it's just at least 10 to 100 times harder to do the factory than the prototype. And that's why you see a lot of companies out there or startups, they'll bring out a prototype, but they just can't get it over the hump for manufacturing, because manufacturing of new technology especially is the hardest thing by far. You know, like basically the prototype is at best 10% of the difficulty and probably closer to 1%. And then software. Tesla is both a hardware and a software company. So a huge percentage of our engineers are actually software engineers. And you can think of our car as kind of like a laptop on wheels. And so software is incredibly important. And so not just in the car, but also in the factory. So the factory software is extremely important. Just software in general. These are fundamental. These are the three critical areas that are needed to make for an awesome company. So, yeah. So we have now we'll soon have three new factories, incremental, on. Well, we have one already on 3 different continents. Shanghai. We're expanding to Shanghai with the second phase. Berlin is making rapid progress. And Texas is making even faster progress. So, yeah. With each factory, what we're trying to do is also improve the manufacturing technology. So, it's you know, in some cases, like the Model Y made in Berlin might look the same, but it actually is made in a much more efficient way. And yeah, we'll talk about that later in the battery presentation. Yeah, launched Megapack. It's 3 megawatt-hours all-in-one energy storage solution. So it's been great overall. Yeah. All right, and I think that's basically it. Right. All right. Thank you. All right. Well, thanks everyone for coming, and we'll be back in a little bit to go through the battery stuff. And there's a little bit more, in addition to the battery stuff, we got a few extras as well. So I think you'll really like what we have to say on batteries. The battery stuff we're going to talk about is truly revolutionary and essential to Tesla's goal. The fundamental good of Tesla. It's like if you look back in history and say what good did Tesla do? The good will be to by how many years did we accelerate sustainable energy? That's like the true metric of success. It matters if sustainable energy happens faster or slower, and so that's really like how I think about Tesla and how we should sort of assess our progress. By how many years did we accelerate sustainable energy? And what we're going to talk about with batteries and a few other things will really explain how we're going to make a step change improvement in the acceleration of sustainable energy. Thank you.
Hi, folks. That was great. We're going to take a short break before we begin the Battery Day event. So stay tuned. If you're local and here in the audience today, you can feel free to get out of the cars and stretch your legs. But try to stay near the cars because we're going to begin promptly in a little bit. See you soon.
Okay. Little break before the real action comes into play. Big thing there was the Autopilot beta coming in a month. Way sooner than I was expecting it. I might have missed a couple things because I was setting up the little stock ticker in the bottom there. Anything else you guys picked up on that you thought was exceptionally interesting? Let me know. Elon needs a little sip of water, apparently. He's been working hard. I mean, obviously the great year. I think that was probably the most impressive thing. While everyone else is struggling, somehow Tesla is surging, which is very, very impressive. Like he said, most difficult year in the history of Tesla. The stock tanked when he walked off stage, did it? I wasn't even looking. Nah, it's still 436 unless, let me... Oh, it did. We're down to 431. I don't know if you guys can see it. I don't know if it updated yet. But yeah. 431. That's jokes. Alright, we'll see what comes next. The anticipation is killing me. What's the big announcement gonna be? I feel like we kind of... The only thing that I wasn't expecting was the... Excuse me. was the Autopilot beta. I mean, we all knew they had a great year. Like, we've all seen the stock price. We've all seen these things. We knew a big year was going to be reported, so that's kind of just... Look at everybody getting out of their cars to hang out. See, what's with the social distancing, guys? They're hitting the economy of scale before the release of the new battery. That's huge. That is a very good point. Hitting it, I thought the battery might be the kind of stopping point on being able to achieve that, but it looks like that is not the case. Exciting times. You know, it's been a rough year, but Tesla's keeping my hopes up. You know? It's been a rough year. Be sure to smash the like button on the stream, guys, if you haven't already. You know, this is a good time. Get up, walk around. Don't leave the stream. Don't leave the stream. But get up, walk around, stretch your legs a little, do some jumping jacks, whatever it is you got to do. I didn't know that, Meki, but I mean, I would assume that if every single volcano erupted, we'd be in for a bit of an issue. But, yeah, Tesla's out here trying to... I mean, he said it again. He reinforced, like, their main goal is simply to accelerate the world in the direction of becoming sustainable and using sustainable energy. And they're moving things quickly. Imagine where we'd be without Tesla. I think that's a really interesting thought. What would we be without... Like, how much further behind would we be? I think a lot. I don't know if another company would have come up and done what Tesla's doing already. It's definitely possible, or if it would have just stayed as the main manufacturer slowly moving towards electric. What do you guys think? Yeah. I feel like we don't realize how long Tesla's been making cars, but it's actually been quite a while now. Like, Tesla was founded in 2003. I don't think they started making cars right away, but I wonder what, but 2008. So in 2003 they were founded, and in 2008 they produced their first car. So they've been making cars for 12 years and working on it for 17 years. Like, that's quite a while. It didn't just happen overnight. I feel like them becoming what they are did feel like it happened overnight in the last 3-4 years, but they've been, you know, working hard for a long time to basically flip the automotive industry on its head. Finjamin. That would be kind of cool. If I got a original Roadster, that would be pretty sweet. I wonder how much they are now. Is the stock price bounced back up a little bit. Back up to 434. I don't know, hopefully you guys can see that. So when Elon got on, it bumped up to 436, went down to 431 when he got off, and then we're flattening out back up to 434. Yeah, Meki, are you referring to Nikola? Nicholas Gonzo. Nikola is an interesting story, but I feel like Nikola wouldn't have even been a thing if it wasn't for Tesla. I mean, the name alone, like, it's kind of embarrassing if you ask me. And obviously there's a few other companies, but nobody's even close to Tesla. And a lot of these companies, I think, were created as a result of Tesla. I don't know if these companies would have been pioneer type companies. How do I check that? Yeah, there's a site where you can check your typing speed. AIDS. Yeah, Elon was definitely stressed about that one. But I mean, it didn't do anything. Like there was no dip in the stock price over the last hour. I mean, this little tiny dip, and then right after he went off stage, but there wasn't a dip as a result of what that guy was talking about. So, I mean, it is pretty well known. Money talks. Hurry up, Elon. Tell us the good stuff. The good stuff. Everybody's waiting. He's taking a piss break, guys. The man's got, I know he seems like Superman, but he's got to go to the bathroom too. Got to have a little snack, get some water in him. How long has this event been going on so far? We've been live for an hour and a half. We started about a half hour before the event went live, give or take. Yeah, Hayes, there's a ton of Nikola controversy. The CEO stepped down. But essentially, yeah. Essentially kind of scamming. So what had been deemed one of the biggest competitors, at least for the Cybertruck with the Nikola Badger, is now, I think, falling to the wayside. People are realizing they were a phony, not the real deal. So I don't know. I know there's a few other ones. Lucid is out there. I can't remember them all off the top of my head, but Nikola's definitely been getting the most kind of this. Look at this guy hitting the floss in the middle. Oh my god, this guy just flossed for hundreds of thousands of people. Should have brought a sign with your YouTube channel, bro. One day we'll be at a Tesla event, folks. Whether it's for my main channel or for this channel, or both. Elon's gonna invite us. Just mark my words. One day we're gonna be there. I mean, I do have the Tesla. I can fit in. Imagine there wasn't a Tesla here. I feel like they would literally not allow you in. Like, you just saw a random Ford Mustang sitting in the back. Hey, Juan, it's okay. At least you're honest. The first step is honesty. Is there, guys, correct me, is there any other major players in the space besides Tesla and Nikola that I'm Lucid? Am I thinking of someone else? What's going on with the stock price? Still, let me refresh. Oh, it's back up over. Elon left, went down, people processed the information, and it's back up to higher than before he left. Damn, it's looking like should have bought at the beginning before close. Or even the low was 417, which was at what, 11 a.m. Would have made some money already. I'm sure there's a bunch of day traders who got in on that shit. Can't wait to get my truck. You ordered a Cybertruck, Big Bun? Yeah. I mean, I don't know if Elon watched that video though, Abdullah. That's my question. Maybe he watched the video, or maybe he just read the story. If someone showed up in a Prius. Oh, you got some hates? Nice. Good call. I'm just lazy. Otherwise, I would buy some. Yeah, I know about Blue Origin, but they're not in the electric vehicle space. They are in actual space. Damn, he's taking a big break, bro. Get back on stage. It's the bathroom break isn't a number 1. It's a number 2. Hey, man. Everybody goes to the bathroom. Even your idols. Can't see the price? Oh, sorry. Is that better? My bad, guys. My bad. Can you see it now? Oh yeah, Riven VM Motors. Oh yeah, who's Volkswagen is making a push, I think. I don't think so, Ruben. Alright, what are we seeing here? Alright, one sec. Oh, they're showing California with everything that's going on. Emphasizing the whole environmental push. Smart. This is insane, by the way. Like, tell me this doesn't look like the Cybertruck should be driving through it. Oh. Alright, Elon's back. They're using that as the background. That's ballsy.
Hello, everyone. Sure.
Fisker.
Thanks, Elon. Oh, hi. I'm Drew Baglino, SVP of Powertrain and Energy Engineering at Tesla, and I'm incredibly excited to talk about what we've been doing at batteries here at Tesla.
Great. So let's see, you got the clicker?
Yeah, I've got the clicker, yeah.
This is it, folks. This is it.
I'll take it first, perhaps.
Sure.
Okay, I'm going to minimize everything
obviously
for this.
The issues we're facing are very serious, with climate change, and we're experiencing these issues on a day-to-day basis. It's incredibly important we accelerate the advent of sustainable energy. Time really matters. This presentation is about accelerating the time to sustainable energy. So the past 5 years were the hottest on record. We have what looks like a wall for CO2 ppm. It's obviously, this time is not like the past. It's really important that we take action. Running this climate experiment is insane. So,
especially when it's just a transitory one anyway.
Yes.
We're going to run out of these fossil fuels. Let's just move to the future and not run this experiment any longer.
Yeah. Maybe talk a bit louder.
You got it.
Okay. So anyway, there is a lot of good news though. A lot of people may not be aware that wind and solar comprise 75% of new electricity capacity in the U.S. this year. So this is a really major. So the grid is going sustainable very, very quickly. Now it's also worth noting that the length of time that power plants last is on the order of 25 years. So even if 100% of energy generation was sustainable, it would still take 25 years to convert the grid. And it's also worth noting that in the past 10 years, power production from coal has dropped in half. So it went from 46% of electricity in 2010 to 23% in 2020. So this is a massive improvement. So good things are happening on a lot of levels. We just need to go faster. So in terms of Tesla's contribution, we've delivered over 1 million electric vehicles, 26 billion electric miles driven, and many gigawatt hours of stationary batteries, 17 terawatt hours of solar generated. So I think solar is sometimes underweighted at Tesla, but it is a massive part of our future. The three parts of a sustainable energy future are sustainable energy generation, storage, and electric vehicles. So we intend to play a significant role in all three. So to accelerate the transition to sustainable energy, we must produce more EVs. They need to be affordable and a lot more energy storage while building factories faster and with far less investment. So goal number one is a terawatt-hour scale battery production. So tera is the new giga, and a terawatt is 1,000 times more than a gigawatt. So we used to talk in terms of gigawatts. In the future, we'll be talking in terms of terawatt hours. So this is what's needed in order to transition the world to sustainability.
Yeah, and you can see we're talking about 100x growth in batteries for electric vehicles to achieve this mission. And we are going to get there. It's just a matter of how fast, and our intention is to accelerate it.
Yeah. You basically need on the order of roughly 10 terawatt hours a year of battery production to transition the global fleet of vehicles to electric.
And the average vehicle lasts 15 years, so we're talking about 150 terawatt hours, give or take, to transition the whole all vehicles of all types to electric.
Yeah, so it's a lot of batteries, basically. Yeah, so.
And then on the grid side, we have a similar mountain to climb, 1,600 times growth from today's grid batteries to go 100% renewable on the grid and to take all of the existing heating fossil fuel uses in homes and businesses 100% electric.
Yeah, and this number, I think, might grow even more, as the world economy matures and as countries with high populations industrialize, we could see this number be even more. But let's say it's like roughly 20 to 25 terawatt hours per year, sustained for 15 to 25 years to transition the world to renewable. This is a lot.
Yeah.
So today's batteries cannot scale fast enough. They're just too small. For Giga Nevada, 150 gigawatt hours per year is like what we probably expect to make out of there. But this is really pretty small in the grand scheme of things. That's only 0.15 terawatt hours. And it costs too much. So
we would need 135 fully built out Nevada gigafactories to achieve 20 terawatt hours a year. It's not scalable enough of a solution. We need a dramatic rethink of the cell manufacturing system to scale as fast as we can and should.
Yeah, and I think we should view this as more than just a question of money. Money is sort of like an ethereal thing, but it's really the amount of effort. You have a certain amount of effort, in terms of people and machines, and depending on how efficient that effort is, for a given amount of effort, you want the most amount of batteries. So it's not just a question of like, well, if we had $2 trillion, tomorrow you could make this. It's not that easy. You actually need to organize a massive number of people, build a lot of machines, build the machines that make the machines. And so it's incredibly important to have that effort yield the most number of batteries. So, and then goal two, obviously, we need to make more affordable cars. I think one of the things that troubles me the most is that we don't yet have a truly affordable car, and that is something that we will make in the future. But in order to do that, we've got to get the cost of batteries down. We've got to make, and we've got to be better at manufacturing, and we need to do something about this curve. The curve of the cost per kilowatt hour of batteries is not improving fast enough. So we've given this a lot of thought over many years to say, okay, how can we radically improve the cost per kilowatt hour curve? It's been somewhat flattening out, actually, in recent years. So
I mean, early growth was promising, but you can see we're kind of plateauing. So that's what's motivating us to rethink how cells are produced and designed.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and EV market share is growing, but EVs, still aren't accessible to all. And you can see, as Drew was saying, it's like starting to flatten out a little bit because the rate of improvement of the affordability of cars is just not fast enough. So that's why we got Battery Day.
Yeah. To make the best cars in the world, we design vehicles and factories from the ground up. Next.
Yeah.
And now we do this for batteries as well.
Yeah. It's weird, the slides don't show up quite right. Anyway, what shows up on the screen is not quite what shows up there. Anyway.
Oh, okay.
It's different.
Yeah, I think it's because that's, yeah.
No, that one's current, supposed to be current. Anyway.
So let's get started. We have a plan to halve the cost per kilowatt hour.
Yeah.
And it's not a plan that rests on a single innovation, some research project that'll never see the light of day. It's a plan that has taken creative engineering and industrialization across every facet of what makes a cell into a battery pack, from raw material to the finished thing. And we're going to go through that plan with you today, step by step, and build up how we get to these goals and how we accelerate this transition and make our vehicles and our grid batteries more affordable.
Yeah. I mean, we basically thought through every element of the battery, well, almost every element. There are a few more elements that we won't get to today, but we will get to in the future.
Yes. So first, before we get too far into it, let's talk about what is in a battery cell. We've got the cap and the can, negative and positive terminals of the cell. When you open that cell, you've got a tab connected to those terminals, what we call the jelly roll, which is the wound electrodes on the inside. You can actually see what this looks like as you unwind it. This is over 1 meter long in a typical 2170 cell. So it's quite a long winding process. And you can see the tab still there. And then, to explain what's actually going on here, we've identified we've got anode, cathode, separator, positive and negative terminal. Watch what happens as we, there we go, discharge the cell. Got lithium moving from anode to cathode, and then the reverse. When we charge the cell, anode moving from lithium moving from cathode to anode across the separator. This is the basic of what makes all lithium-ion batteries, whether they're no matter what the form factor is. And when we look at what's happened to date, at least in our products, we've moved from the 18650 form factor to the 2170 form factor through great collaboration with our partners, Panasonic, new partners like LG and CATL, and probably others in the future.
Yeah. Actually, so a slight note on why is the one called the 18650, although not on the slide, versus the 2170, is that the first two digits refer to the diameter, and the second two digits refer to the length. So that helps explain why are these weird. What's up with these weird numbers? But like nobody could explain to me why there was an extra zero. So I said, like, okay, well, we're deleting the zero that nobody can explain in future form factors. So that's why it's technically it's like the 18650 bizarrely, but going forward it's the 2170 because we just got rid of the extra zero because it's pointless.
And this was a evolutionary step, going from 1865 to 2170, bringing 50% more energy into the cell. But when we look to the ideal cell design, if we were to do it ourselves, we need to go beyond just what we're looking at us in front of us, and study the full spectrum of options. So as you can see, we kind of swept the key figures of merit, how much we can reduce the cost, and how much vehicle range increases as we change the outer diameter of the cell. We found a sweet spot somewhere around 46 millimeters. But it's not just about a bigger form factor. Like anybody could make a bigger form factor.
Any fool could make a bigger form factor. We not any fool.
Yeah, exactly. There are problems as you make cells larger. In fact, supercharging and thermals in general become really challenging as you make bigger cells. And this was the challenge that our team set our sights on to overcome. And we did. We came up with this tabless architecture that maybe you've heard about that basically removes the thermal problem from the equation and allows us to go to the absolute lowest cost form factor and the simplest manufacturing process. And this is what we mean when we talk about tabless. It's kind of a beautiful thing.
Yeah, that's what these T-shirts mean, but it's very esoteric. It's like nobody could figure it out. But
yeah, we basically took the existing foils, laser patterned them, and enabled dozens of connections into the active material through this shingled spiral you can see, with simpler manufacturing, fewer parts, 50 millimeter versus 250 millimeter electrical path length, which is how we get all the thermal benefits.
Yeah, this is important to appreciate. Like basically the distance that electron has to travel, you know, it's just much less. So you actually have a shorter path length in a large tabless cell than you have in the smaller cell with tabs. This is a big deal. So even though the cell is bigger, it actually has more power. The power to weight ratio is actually better than the smaller cell with tabs. This is, you know, again, like this is quite hard to do. So it's you know, nobody's done it before. And it really took a tremendous amount of effort within Tesla engineering to figure out how do we make a freaking tabless cell and have it actually work and then connect that to the top cap. And it's there's a whole bunch of things that we're, you know, keeping a little secret sauce here that we're not telling everything. But
sometimes what's elegant and simple is still hard, and it took us a lot of trials, but we're happy where we ended up.
Yeah, I mean everything's simple in recollection. You know, after you like simple, everything it's hard until it's discovered, and then it's simple. So anyway, but there's a lot of really cool things going on that enable tabless, and it's really, you know, due to a really great engineering team. Drew and the rest of the team have done amazing work in achieving this tabless construction. And it sounds, I think it may sort of sound a bit silly to some people, but this is like, if for people that really know cells, this is a massive breakthrough.
For cylindricals to be able to get rid of the tabs dramatically simplifies winding and coating.
Yeah.
And has an awesome thermal and performance benefit.
Yeah, that's just to elaborate on that a bit. It's like when the cell is going through the system, it has to keep stopping where all the tabs are.
Yes.
So you can't do continuous motion production if you have tabs. You have to keep stopping, and then there's a rate at which you can start and stop and accelerate again, and it really slows down the rate of production. And then sometimes you get the tabs wrong, and you also lose a little bit of active area. It's really a huge pain in the ass to have tabs from a production standpoint.
Yes. And so when we put it all together and go to our new 80 millimeter length, 4680, we call this new cell design, we get 5 times the energy with 6 times the power and enable 16% range increase just form factor alone.
Yeah, so when these, yeah, it's pretty great. And just to clarify, that when we see these plus 16% or whatever the percentage range increases, these are the amounts due just to that particular innovation.
Yes.
So we'll list a whole bunch of innovations, and then when you add them up, you get a total improvement in energy density and cost. But these numbers are what refer to just this thing.
Yeah, and I want to stress, this is not just a concept or a rendering. We are starting to ramp up manufacturing of these cells at our pilot 10 gigawatt hour production facility just around the corner.
Yeah. So, yeah. It's a video of some of what's going on in the plant. Now, I mean, to be clear, it will take about a year to reach the 10 gigawatt hour capacity. So this is important to appreciate. Like when you build a factory, there's a certain capacity that you design to, and then it takes some period of time to actually achieve that capacity. So I would say it's probably about a year before we get to the 10 gigawatt hour annualized rate with the pilot plant. And this is just a pilot plant. The actual production plants will be more on the order of maybe 200 gigawatt hours, maybe more over time.
And Thank you. But let's stack up everything we just saw at the cell level. So just the cell form factor change enables a 14% dollar per kilowatt hour reduction, just that cell form factor change. And now that you've been teased on this factory, we're going to go on and walk step by step through that factory and discuss a series of innovations there. When thinking about the ideal cell factory, we have inspirations behind us in the paper and bottling industry, where from humble beginnings, over a century of innovation has enabled mass scale, continuous motion, unbelievably low manufacturing cost. And when we think about the lithium ion industry, which is really only in its third decade of high volume production, it has so far to go to achieve similar scale and simplicity. And that was the inspiration that we set out to the team as we thought about how to marry cell design and manufacturing in the best possible factory. And let's talk a little bit about what's in a cell factory. First, there's an electrode process where the active materials are coated into films onto foils. Then those coated foils are wound in the winding process we just talked about, where if you do have tabs, you have to start and stop a lot. Then the jelly roll is assembled into the can, sealed, filled with electrolyte, and then sent to formation, where the cell is charged for the first time, and where the sort of the electrochemistry is set and the quality of the cell is verified. And we set out at every step of this process to try to take that inspiration we just showed and think about how we make those processes fundamentally better and more scalable. And one of the most important processes is where it all begins, the wet process of the electrode coating. And just to give you all a sense of scale, I'm going to walk through what's in that wet process. You've got mixing, where the powders are mixed with either a water or a solvents for the cathode. That mix then goes into a large coat and dry oven, where the slurry is coated onto the foil, huge ovens, tens of meters long, dried, and that solvent then has to be recovered. You can see the solvent recovery system. And then finally, the coated foil is compressed to the final density. And when you're looking at this, you're like, wow, that's a lot of equipment for one step, especially when you consider that little speck next to the coating oven is a person. This is serious iron involved in making batteries. Wouldn't it be great if we could skip that solvent step, which is one of those dig a ditch and then fill it kind of things, where you put the solvent in and then take it out and recycle it, and just go straight to dry mix to coat? And that's what the dry process really is about. And in the most basic form, you can see it here on a bench top. Literally, powder into film. As simple as that.
I mean, it's hard, actually, just to be clear. So, if this was easy, everyone would do it. So it's not like dry coating electrode is actually easy. It's actually very hard to do what appears to be a simple thing. And it's worth noting, like, we did acquire Maxwell as like a little over a year ago, I guess. And it's certainly a good company and everything, but the dry coating they had was like, it's like sort of, I would call proof of concept. Since the acquisition, we've actually revved the machine that does the dry coating 4 times. So we're in revision 4 post-acquisition of the machine. And there's still a lot of work to do. So I would not say this is like completely in the bag. It's still a lot of work to do. And as you go from like benchtop to lab to pilot to volume production, there are actually major issues that you encounter at every level. It's not like you make something work on your bench and bingo, now you can make a bazillion of it.
Absolutely.
It's insanely difficult to scale up.
But if you do scale it up, what you saw before becomes this.
Yeah.
So you can see the motivation. A 10 times reduction in footprint, a 10 times reduction in energy, and a massive reduction in investment. But as Elon was saying, simple is hard.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, to be clear, I would like to not say that right now it's just totally working. It's close to working, but it's not, even now at the pilot plant level, it is close to working. Well, it's fair to say it does work, but with not a high yield.
Yeah.
So
we're still ironing out the kinks, but we've made tens of thousands of cells, thousands of kilometers of electrode. I mean, we are on the 4th generation of the equipment, so we've learned a lot along the way.
Yeah.
I mean, it is super demanding because every atom has its place if you want to deliver the energy density and the cycle life and the supercharging.
Yeah.
But we're confident that we will get there, but it will be a lot of work along the way.
There's a clear path to success, but a ton of work between here and there.
Yep.
So, but this is a really profound improvement. Again, for people that know battery manufacturing, this is gigantic. We'll probably be on machine revision 6 or 7 by the time we do large-scale production. The rate at which the machines are being improved is extremely rapid. Like literally every 3 or 4 months is a new rev.
Yeah, and beyond the electrode, we continue to innovate on every other process step. So let's talk a little bit about assembly, which is next. The key to a high-performing assembly line is accomplishing processes while in motion, continuous motion, and thinking of the line as a highway, max velocity down the highway, no start and stop, no city driving.
Exactly, no stoplights and traffic lights or anything. You want the highway.
I want the highway.
Yeah.
And together with our internal design team that makes this equipment and designs this equipment, we coupled thinking about how to make the best cell with thinking about how to make the best equipment so that we could accomplish the fastest parts per minute rates on all of these tools. And through all of that development, we were able to get to the point where we can implement assembly lines, one line, 20 gigawatt hours, 7 times increase in output per line. And when you're thinking about scalability and pure effort, having one line be 7x the capability is just effort multiplying.
Yeah. So. Yeah, you can sort of think about like the sort of the fundamental physics of a factory or something. Like, I think it's actually quite a lot like the rocket equation, where you've got basically in the rocket equation you've got your exhaust velocity and then the log of the start to end masses. So it's basically saying, you know, how fast are things going and what percentage of the factory volume is doing useful work. And conveyance does not count as useful work. So
only the value-added steps.
Yeah, if you break the factory down into cubic meter sections, and say, or smaller, it could be like 1 liter sections, and say, is a majority of this volume doing useful work? You would be astounded at how bad most factories are. They're like maybe 2 or 3%, including our factory in Fremont. So I think it's possible to get to at least 10 times that volumetric efficiency. So more like 30% ish, maybe more. And be 10x better, which means the factory can be 10 times smaller. And then the other thing is how fast are things going through the factory. It's like speed and density. The faster you go, like if a factory that's moving at say twice the speed of another factory is equivalent to 2 factories basically. And the company that will be successful is the company that with 1 factory can accomplish what other companies take 2 or 3 or 4 factories to do. So this is what we're trying to do here is say, okay, how do we, with 1 factory, achieve what maybe 5 or even 10 factories would normally be required to achieve?
And the vertical integration with the machine design teams at Groman and Hybar and others allows us to really accomplish that because we don't have all these edge conditions between one piece of equipment and another. We can design the entire machine to be one machine and remove all of these unnecessary steps.
Yeah, I mean, basically Tesla is aiming to be the best at manufacturing of any company on Earth. This is the thing that's actually most important in the long run. I think, just from a company standpoint and from basically achieving sustainability as fast as possible. But I think also for long-term competitiveness, eventually every car company will have long-range electric cars. Eventually every company will have autonomy. I think, but not every company will be great at manufacturing. Tesla will be absolutely head and shoulders above anyone else in manufacturing. That is our goal.
Manufacturing is hard, and hard problems are fun to solve. Okay, now let's talk about formation. In a typical cell factory, formation represents 25% of the investment. And what is formation? It's charging and discharging cells and verifying the quality of the cell. Turns out we've charged and discharged billions and billions of cells in our vehicles, so we know a thing or two about that. The typical formation setup is you charge and discharge each cell individually. In our car, we charge thousands of cells at once. And we took our principle and our power electronics, leveraging Powerwall, vehicle battery management systems, and others, to dramatically improve the formation equipment cost effectiveness and density. 86% reduction in formation investment, 75% reduction in footprint.
So.
You want to take this one?
Sure. So essentially, what this translates to, based on what we know today, is about a 75% reduction in the investment per kilowatt hour or gigawatt hour. It's just basically 4 times better than the current state of the art to the best of our knowledge. And I think there's probably room to improve even beyond that.
Definitely.
Definitely, yeah. So we're able to, from a volume standpoint, actually get what, in a smaller form factor than Giga Nevada, we were able to get many times the cell output. So you can see, like, basically, we can get a terawatt hour in less space than it took to make a gigawatt hour, 150 gigawatt hours. So this is pretty profound. You know, it's like, I would actually not have thought this was possible several years ago, that we could actually get to terawatt hour scale in less space than what we currently envision for doing 150 gigawatt hours.
Yes, simpler accelerates terawatt hour scale, and that's what we need to do to accelerate our mission. And, you know, as Elon said, we're going to try to even improve on this as we push towards our goals, which are?
Yeah, so this is just for, this is just talking about Tesla internal cell production. As I tweeted out earlier, we will continue to use our cell suppliers, Panasonic and LG and CATL. And so this is 100 gigawatt hours supplemental to what we buy from suppliers. Yeah, essentially, this does like reduce our weighted average cost of a cell because, but it allows us to make a lot more cars and a lot more stationary storage. And then long term, we're expecting to make on the order of 3,000 gigawatt hours or 3 terawatt hours per year. I think we can. I think we've got a good chance of achieving this actually before 2030, but I'm highly confident that we could do it by 2030.
When you look at the size of that factory on the previous page, it really shows how enabling all of these advancements are in achieving a 3 terawatt hour goal by 2030. And not only is all of that manufacturing innovation fantastic for enabling scale, it's also an additional 18% reduction in dollar per kilowatt hour at the battery pack level.
But wait, there's more.
But wait, there's more.
Yeah.
So we have a manufacturing system. We've got a cell design. What are the active materials we're going to put in that cell design? Let's talk about the anode first. Let's talk about silicon. Why is silicon awesome? It's awesome because it's the most abundant element in the Earth's crust after oxygen, which means it's everywhere. It's sand.
Yeah. Sand is silicon dioxide.
Yeah. And it happens to store 9 times more lithium than graphite, which is the typical anode material in lithium-ion batteries today. So why isn't everybody using it? The main reason is because the challenge with silicon is that it expands 4x when fully charged with lithium. And basically, all of that expansion stress on the particles start cracking, they start electrically isolating, you lose capacity, the energy retention of the battery starts to fade, and it also gums up with a passivation layer that has to keep reforming as the particles expand.
Yeah, basically, with silicon, the cookie crumbles and gets gooey. That's basically what happens.
Good analogy.
Yeah.
And current approaches to solve this, which exist, I mean, we have silicon in the cars that you're all in right now, are involved highly engineered, expensive materials in the scheme of things. Now, they're still great, and they enable some of the benefits of silicon. They just don't enable all of it, and they're not scalable enough. And you can see some of the things that maybe you've heard of, SiO, silicon with carbon, or silicon nanowires. I mean, that's kind of the space right now. What we're proposing is a step change in capability and a step change in cost. And what that really is to just go to the raw metallurgical silicon itself. Don't engineer the base metal. Just start with that and design for it to expand in how you think of the particle in the electrode design and how you code it.
Yeah, I'm not sure if you saw this. Basically, $1 per kilowatt hours.
Yeah.
Basically, if you use simple silicon, it's dramatically less than even the silicon that is currently used in the batteries that are made today. And you can use a lot more of it.
The anode would cost, with this silicon, and the anode costs $1.20 a kilowatt hour.
Yeah.
And how does it work? Start with raw metallurgical silicon, stabilize the surface with an elastic ion conducting polymer coating that is applied through a very scalable approach. No like chemical vapor deposition, no highly engineered high capex solutions, and then integrated into the electrode through a robust network formed out of a highly elastic binder. And in the end, by leveraging this silicon to its potential, we can increase the range of our vehicles by an additional 20%, just this improvement.
Yeah, it gets cheaper and longer range.
Yeah, and when we take that anode cost reduction, we're looking at another 5% dollar per kilowatt hour reduction at the battery pack level. And there's more. Let's talk about cathodes. What is a battery cathode? Cathodes are like bookshelves where the metal, the nickel, the cobalt, the manganese, or aluminum is like the shelf, and the lithium is the book. And really, what sets apart these different metals is how many books of lithium they can fit on the shelves and how sturdy the shelves are. Cobalt is a...
Yeah, sorry, I was just going to say, like, it's tough to exactly figure out what the right analogy is to explain cathode and anode, but a bookshelf is probably a pretty good one, in the sense that you need a stable structure to contain the ions. So you want a structure that does not crumble or get gooey, or basically that holds its shape in both the cathode and the anode. As you're moving these ions back and forth, it needs to retain its structure. So if it doesn't retain its structure, then you lose cycle life and your battery capacity drops very quickly.
Absolutely. Yeah, I totally agree. And I think people are always talking about, like, oh, what's the cathode going to be? Is it NCA or whatever? The thing to consider is just fundamentally what the nickel, the metals are capable of, and that's what we have on the chart here. Dollar per kilowatt hour cathode of just the metal, using just LME, London Metal Exchange prices, versus the energy density of just the cathode. And you can see nickel is the cheapest and the highest energy density, and that's why increasing nickel is a goal of ours and really everybody's in the battery industry. But one of the reasons why cobalt is even used at all is because it is a very stable bookshelf. And the challenge with going to pure nickel is stabilizing that bookshelf with only nickel. And that's what we've been working on with our high nickel cathode development, which has 0 cobalt in it. Leveraging novel coatings and dopants, we can get a 15% reduction in cathode dollar per kilowatt hour.
Yeah. It's a big deal.
But it's not just about nickel. You want to?
Yeah, sure. So in order to scale, we really need to make sure that we're not constrained by total nickel availability. I actually spoke with the CEOs of the biggest mining companies in the world and said, please make more nickel. It's very important. And so I think they are going to make more nickel. But there's also, I think we need to have a kind of a 3-tiered approach to batteries. So starting with iron, that's kind of like a medium range, and then nickel manganese as sort of a medium plus, intermediate, and then a high nickel for long range applications like Cybertruck and the semi. Because something like a semi truck, it's extremely important to have high energy density in order to get long range. So and just to give sort of iron a bit more time, like although if you look at the watt-hours per kilogram at the cathode level of iron, it looks like nickel's twice as good. But when you fully considered at the pack level, everything else taken into account, nickel is about maybe 50 or 60% better than iron. So iron is little better than it would seem when you look at it at the pack level fully considered. It's not as good as nickel. Nickel is like 50 to 60% better, but it's actually pretty good. And so, good for stationary storage and for medium range applications where energy density is not paramount. And then, like I said, for intermediate, it's kind of a nickel manganese, and it's relatively straightforward to do a cathode that's 2/3 nickel, 1/3 manganese, which would then allow us to make 50% more cell volume with the same amount of nickel.
And with very little energy trade-off. I mean,
Yeah.
Just enough to have you still want to use 100% nickel for something like a semi-truck, but really not much of a sacrifice at all.
Yeah.
And, beyond the metals, because a lot of people spend time talking about the metals, actually the cathode process itself is a big target. 35% of the cathode dollar per kilowatt hour is just in transferring it into its final form. And so we see that as a big target, and we decided to take that on. Here's a view of the traditional cathode process. Effectively, if you start at the left and you have the metal from the mine, the first thing that happens is the metal from the mine is changed into an intermediate thing called a metal sulfate, because that's just happened to be what chemists wanted a long time ago. And then when you're making the cathode, you have to take this intermediate thing called metal sulfate, add chemicals, add a whole bunch of water, a whole bunch of stuff happens in the middle, and at the end, you get that little bit of cathode and a whole bunch of wastewater and byproducts.
Yeah, it's insanely complicated. If you look at the total, like if you're just like, it's a small world journey of I am a nickel atom. What happens to me? And it's crazy. Like you're going around the world 3 times. There's like the moral equivalent of like digging the ditch, filling the ditch, and digging the ditch again. It's total madness, basically. And these things just grew up as they're just kind of like legacy things that it's like how it was done before, and then they connected the dots, but really didn't think of the whole thing from like a first principle standpoint, saying how do we get from the nickel ore in the ground to the finished nickel product for a battery. And so we've looked at the entire value chain and said, how can we make this as simple as possible?
And that's what we're proposing here with our process. As you can see, a whole lot less is going on here. We get rid of the intermediate, metal, water, final product cathode, recirculate the water, no wastewater at all. And when you summarize all of that, it's a 66% reduction in CapEx investment, a 76% reduction in process cost, and 0 wastewater. Much more scalable solution.
Yeah.
And then when you think about the fact that now we're actually just directly consuming the raw metal nickel powder, it dramatically simplifies the metal refining part of the whole process. So we can eliminate billions in battery-grade nickel intermediate production. It's not needed at all.
Yeah.
And we can also use that same process we showed on the previous page to directly consume the metal powder coming out of recycled electric vehicle and grid storage batteries. So this process enables both simpler mining and simpler recycling. And now that we have this process, obviously we're going to go and start building our own cathode facility in North America and leveraging all of the North American resources that exist for nickel and lithium. And just doing that, just localizing our cathode supply chain and production, we can reduce miles traveled by all the materials that end up in the cathode by 80%, which is huge for cost.
Yeah, I mean, to be clear, cathode production would be part of the Tesla cell production plant. So it would just be, basically, raw materials coming from the mine, and from raw materials in the mine, out comes a battery.
And on that note, the way the lithium ends up in the cell is through the cathode. So then we should obviously on-site lithium conversion as well, which is what we will do using a new process that we're going to pioneer. That's a sulfate-free process again, skip the intermediate. 33% reduction in lithium cost, 100% electric facility co-located with the cathode plant.
Yeah. So it's important to note that there is a massive amount of lithium on Earth. So lithium is not like oil. There's a massive amount of it pretty much everywhere. In fact, there's enough lithium in the United States to convert the entire United States fleet to electric. Like all the cars in the United States, there's like 300 million or something like that. every vehicle in the United States can be converted to electric using only lithium that is available in the United States.
Discovered today.
Yeah, what we already know exists.
People really haven't even been looking.
Yeah, people haven't been trying because it's just like widely available. So, but it is important to say, like, okay, what is the smartest way to take the ore and extract the lithium and do so in an environmentally friendly way? And we actually discovered again, looking at a sort of first principles physics standpoint, instead of just the way it's always been done, is we found that we can actually use table salt, sodium chloride, to basically extract the lithium from the ore. Nobody's done this before, to the best of my knowledge. Nobody's done this, and it's a sort of, all the elements are reusable. It's a very sustainable way of obtaining lithium, and we actually we actually got rights to a lithium clay deposit in Nevada.
Over 10,000 acres.
Over 10,000 acres. And then the nature of the mining is actually, I think, also very environmentally sensitive in that we sort of take a chunk of dirt out of the ground, or remove the lithium, and then put the chunk of dirt back where it was. So it will look pretty much the same as before, and it will not look like terrible, and yeah, it'll be nice. Nice.
Yeah.
So
simply mix clay with salt, put it in water, salt comes out with the lithium, done. I mean,
it's pretty crazy.
Yeah. So we're really excited about this, and there really is enough lithium in Nevada alone to electrify the entire U.S. fleet.
Yeah, that's true. Actually, just what's in Nevada. That's basically so much damn lithium on Earth. It's crazy. It's one of the most common elements on the planet.
And eventually, as we said at the beginning, when we get to this steady state 20 terawatt hours per year of production, we will transfer the entire non-renewable fleet of both power plants, home heating and battery and industry heating and vehicles to electric. And at that point, we have an awesome resource in those batteries to recycle to make new batteries. So we don't need to do any more mining at that point. And you can see why.
Yeah.
The difference in the value of the material coming back from the vehicle versus the ground, you'd always go to the vehicle. And we recycle 100% of our vehicle batteries today. And actually, we are starting our pilot full-scale recycling production at Gigafactory Reno next quarter to continue to develop this process as our recycling returns grow.
Yeah, I mean, to date it's been done by third parties, but we think we can recycle the batteries more effectively, especially since we know our batteries, we're making the same battery as the thing we're recycling. So whereas like third-party recyclers have to consider batteries of all kinds.
Yeah, and just to think about what this actually means, the recycling resource is always 10 or greater years delayed because batteries last a really long time. But eventually, it is the way that all resources will be made available, and that's why we're investing in this recycling facility in Nevada.
Yeah. Long-term, new batteries will come from old batteries once the fleet reaches steady state.
Right. Okay, so we just talked about scaling cathode and recycling. All of the benefits that you just saw are added to this benefit of a 12% reduction in dollars per kilowatt hour at the battery pack level. Almost at our halve the cost goal, but there's one more section. Take it away, Elon.
Great. So there's an architecture that we've been wanting to do at Tesla for a long time, and we finally figured it out. And I think it's the way that all electric cars in the future will ultimately be made. It's the right way to do things. So it starts with having a single piece casting, or a single piece casting for the front body and the rear body. And in order to do this, we commissioned the largest casting machine that has ever been made. And it's currently working just over the road at our Fremont plant. We have it's pretty sweet. Currently making the entire rear section of the car as a single piece, high pressure die cast aluminum. And in order to do this, we actually had to develop our own alloy because we wanted a high strength casting alloy that did not require coatings or heat treatment. This is a big deal for castings, especially with a large casting. If you heat treat it afterwards, it tends to deform. It kind of does this like potato chip thing. So it's very hard to keep a large casting to have its shape. So in order to achieve this, there was no alloy that existed that could do this. So we developed our own alloy, a special alloy of aluminum that has high strength without heat treat and is very castable. So that's a great achievement of our materials team. In fact, in general, we've got a lot of advanced materials coming for Tesla, that new alloys and materials that have never existed before. So, so you're basically making the front and rear of the car as a single piece, and then that then interfaces to what we call the structural battery, where the battery for the first time will have dual use. The battery will both have the use as an energy device and as structure. This is absolutely the way things are done. In the early days of aircraft, they would carry the fuel tanks as cargo. So the fuel tanks actually were quite difficult to carry. They were like basically worse than cargo. You had to kind of bolt them down. It was very difficult. And then somebody said, hey, what if we just make the wing tanks, what if we just make the fuel tank in wing shape? So all modern airplanes, the fuel tank, your wing is just a fuel tank in wing shape. This is absolutely the way to do it. And then the fuel tank serves as dual structure, and it's no longer cargo. It's fundamental to the structure of the aircraft. This was a major breakthrough. We're doing the same for cars. So this is really quite profound. Effectively, the non-cell portion of the battery has negative mass. So we save so much mass in the rest of the vehicle. We save more mass in the rest of the vehicle than the non-cell portion of the battery. So it's like, well, how do you really minimize the mass of a battery? Make it negative. Make the battery non-cell portion of the battery pack negative. It also allows us to pack the cells more densely because we do not have intermediate structure in the battery pack. So instead of having these like supports and stabilizers and stringers and structural elements in the battery, we now have a lot more space in the battery because the pack itself is structural. And what we do is essentially, instead of having just a filler that is a flame retardant, which is currently what is in the 3-in-Y battery packs, we have a filler that is a structural adhesive, as well as flame retardant. So it effectively glues the cells to the top and bottom sheet. And this allows you to do shear transfer between the upper and lower sheet. Just like if you have like a Formula One craft or like a racing boat, and you have carbon fiber face sheets and say aluminum honeycomb between them, this gives you incredible stiffness. And it's really the way that any super fast thing works is you create basically a honeycomb sandwich with two face sheets. This is actually even better than what aircraft do, because aircraft do not do this. They can't do this because fuel is liquid. So in our case, the batteries are solid. So we can actually use the steel shell case of the battery to transfer shear from the upper and lower face sheet, which makes for an incredibly stiff structure, even stiffer than a regular car.
Yeah.
In fact, if this was a convertible that had no upper structure, it would be stiffer than that convertible would be stiffer than a regular car. So this is it's just really really major. So it improves the mass efficiency of the battery, and then those castings are also quite important because you want to transfer load into the structural battery pack in a very smooth, continuous way, so you don't put arbitrary point loads into the battery. So you kind of have to, you want to sort of feather the load out from the front and rear into the structural battery. It also allows us to use to move the cells closer to the center of the car, because we don't have the in the top one we've got that sort of all the supports and stuff. So the volumetric efficiency of the structural pack is much better than a non-structural pack, and we actually bring the cells closer to the center, and because they're closer to the center, it reduces the probability of a side impact potentially contacting the cells, because it has to go, any kind of side impact has to go further in order to reach the cells. It also improves what's called the polar moment of inertia, which is that you can think of like when there's ice skater, arms out or arms in. Arms in, you rotate faster. So if you can bring things closer to the center, you reduce the polar moment of inertia, and that means the car maneuvers better. It just feels better. You don't know why, but it just feels more agile. So it's really cool. This is really major. Like I said, so 10% mass reduction in the body of the car, 14% range increase, 370 fewer parts. So, I mean, I really think that long term, in any cars that do not take this architecture will not be competitive.
And it's not just at the product level a better product, but in the factory, it's a massive simplification. You saw the part removal. It's casting machines. It's the structural battery pack. So we're looking at over 50% reduction in investment per gigawatt hour, 35% reduction in floor space, and we'll continue to improve that as we make the vehicle factory of the future.
Yeah, so it's major improvements on all fronts, from the cell all the way to the vehicle.
And in addition to the improvements we just said on enabling additional range and improving the structural performance of the vehicle, it is worth another 7% dollar per kilowatt hour reduction at the battery pack level, bringing our total reductions now to 56% dollars per kilowatt hour.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, so stacking it up, we're not just talking about cost or range. We've got to look at all the facets. So range increase, we're unlocking up to 54% increase in range for our vehicles and energy density for our energy products. 56% reduction in dollars per kilowatt hour at the battery pack level, and a 69% reduction in investment per gigawatt hour, which is the true enabler when we talk back about how do we achieve this scale problem here.
Yeah. And yeah, so I think it's pretty nice that investment per gigawatt hour reduction is 69%. I mean, who would have thought?
Yeah, just happened to happen out that way. Yeah.
I mean, 0.420%, of course. Yeah. So what this enables us to do is achieve a new trajectory in the reduction of cell cost. And now, to be clear, it will take us probably a year to 18 months to start realizing these advantages, and probably to fully realize the advantages, probably it's about 3 years or thereabouts. So, it's not like if we could do this instantly, we would. But it's really, I think what this bodes for, it just really bodes well for the future, and means that the long-term scaling of Tesla and the sustainable energy products that we make will be massively increased. So, what tends to happen as companies get bigger is things tend to slow down. Actually, they're going to speed up.
And they have to speed up if we're going to accelerate the transition to sustainable energy.
Yeah. I mean, long term, we want to try to replace about, at least 1% of the total vehicle fleet on Earth, which is about 2 billion vehicles. So long term, we want to try to make about 20 million vehicles a year.
But I think it's important to point out that when we talked about 3 terawatt hours by 2030, the problem is a 20 terawatt hour problem. So everybody needs to be accelerating their efforts to accomplish these objectives. Doesn't matter where you are in the value chain, there is a ton to do. You need to rethink from first principles how you do it so that you can scale to meet all of our objectives.
Yep.
And Elon?
Sure.
What does this mean?
What does this mean for our future products? We're confident that long term we can design and manufacture a compelling $25,000 electric vehicle. This has always been our dream from the beginning of the company. I even wrote a blog piece about it because our first car was an expensive sports car, and then it was like slightly less expensive sedan, and then finally sort of a, I don't know, mass market premium, but like the Model 3 and Model Y. But it was always our goal to try to make an affordable electric car, and I think probably, like I said, about 3 years from now, we're confident we can make a very compelling $25,000 electric vehicle that's also fully autonomous.
And when you think about the $25,000 price point, you have to consider how much less expensive it is to own an electric vehicle.
Yeah.
So actually, it becomes even more affordable at that $25,000 price point.
Yeah. So we have and extreme performance and range, and we should probably talk about the Model S Plaid. What about that? Yeah. Woo. So, yeah. Anyway, we took the latest Plaid out to Laguna Seca on Sunday. It got a minute 30, and we think probably there's another 3 seconds or more to take off that time. So we're confident the Model S Plaid will achieve the best track time of any production vehicle ever, of any kind, two-door or otherwise. And you can order it now, and it's available basically end of next year. So, and now we'll move to Q&A.
Absolutely.
So we'll invite a few people on stage.
Come on up, team.
This is just a small portion of the team, but it would be great to, show you some more of the team, and when we do Q&A, we can give various people different questions to answer.
Sounds great. Actually, I don't know how we're getting the questions.
Actually, I don't know either. Is somebody going to read them to him? Okay, well, you can just you can maybe get out of the car for 2 seconds and yell it at us. I don't know. Hey, how do we get any questions?
Oh, they're mics. Okay, wait for the mic.
Oh, there are mics. Okay, great.
All right.
Okay, we'll definitely need to give people mics because otherwise there's no way. Sorry? Okay. All right, we're going to pass some mics out. We don't have a name for the $25,000 car yet.
It's a great question, though.
Yes, we will be manufacturing cells in Berlin. Yep.
Thermal management system? For homes.
Oh, you mean like the home HVAC? Yeah, that's a pet project that I'd love to get going on. I don't know, maybe we'll start working on that next year. Because I just think you could really make a way better home HVAC system that's really quiet and super efficient and super energy efficient, and also has like a way better filter for particles, and and it works very reliably. And we've already developed that for the car. So the heat pump in the Model Y is really pretty spectacular. I mean, it's tiny, it's efficient, it has to last for 15 years. It's got to work in all kinds of conditions from the coldest winter to the hottest summer. So we've actually already done a massive amount of the work necessary for a really kick-ass home HVAC. And they can also stack them. So if you want to say, depending upon the size of your house or whatever, how much you need, you can just basically stack them, and just have a very compelling, super efficient home HVAC. And then you can also communicate with the car, and it'll know when you're coming home. So it's like, oh, I don't need to keep the house cold all day. I just cool it down because I knew you were coming home. So the pack can communicate with the car and just really dial it into when you actually need cooling and heating. It'd be great.
Fun product.
Yeah.
Who's next?
Hello. Hey guys, Eli here from Tesla Owners Club, My Tesla Adventure. Just quick question. So I'm a huge fan of car camping in my Tesla with my dream case, my all-time favorite activity. Is it going to be possible to get climate control to the back of the Cybertruck? Because that would be the ultimate camping machine if we can get all-night climate control.
We'll try to do that. Yeah, I agree. That'd be really cool. Yeah.
All right, who's next?
Hello.
Yeah.
Long-time fan, Elon, great guy. Just a question. How does the ice industry look like for in the future?
Well, I don't think there will be an ice industry long term. So yeah. I mean, well, I guess there might be like a few things that are like it's a like curious thing. Like I mean, there's still like some steam engines made somewhere, but like they're just basically sort of quirky collector's items. I mean, that will be the future of the internal combustion engine car.
Hi, Elon, to your left here in the white Model Y. Ryan McCaffrey from the Ride the Lightning Tesla podcast. Curious about Cybertruck. It was interesting to see where you had it in on the battery technology front. I'm sort of curious what you see for it in the production front. Is its volume, you know, trucks are so popular in America. Do you see its volume equaling the 3 or the Y in the future? And also, is the were you able to get Tesla is able to legally be sold in Texas as part of the Giga Texas deal?
Well, it's hard to say what the volume exactly would be for the Cybertruck. The orders are gigantic. So we have like, I don't know, well over 500,000 orders. I think maybe 600,000 or 600,000. That's a lot, basically. We stopped counting. So I think there's probably room for, I don't know, at least like a unit volume of like 250 to 300,000 a year, maybe more. Now we are designing the Cybertruck to meet the American spec, because if you try to design a car to meet the global, the superset of all global requirements, it basically, you can't make the Cybertruck. It's impossible. It really is designed for the American market, but this is the biggest market. Our North American market is the biggest market for pickup trucks by far, or large pickup trucks. And then I think for we'll probably make an international version of the Cybertruck that'll be kind of smaller, you know, kind of like a tight Wolverine package. It'll still be cooler, but it'll be smaller because you just can't make a giant truck like that for most markets. So yeah, but it's gonna be great. And I don't know. I think probably we'll be able to sell directly in Texas. We do pretty well right now, but it is a bit weird not being able to actually conclude a transaction in Texas. But it's got to be like, you know, a click on a server based in California. So, but weirdly, we can do leasing in Texas, but not selling. But hopefully that'll get cleared up in the future.
Yeah, Elon, great job with everything that you're doing. Thras Gerber from Gerber Kawasaki, your team's amazing. What I'm most curious about, these innovations are incredible, but on my drive up here, fully on autopilot for 400 miles, the entire state is brown. And this is ultimately about climate. Has there been some analysis done if all these things are achieved? What will its direct impact be on climate?
Well, I mean, I think it will have a very significant impact because it will stop the CO2 ppm from growing as it is every year. And I mean, I should say, like, I try to view the whole climate thing for, as a science question as much as possible. Science, you always question your hypothesis. Is it true? Is it not true? Or assign a probability to a given hypothesis. And I should say that my original interest in electric vehicles predates the climate issue. Like just when I was in high school, I thought, man, if we don't figure out electric cars, the whole economy is going to collapse when we run out of oil. So it's like, we better figure out electric cars and sustainable energy, or civilization is going to crumble. And then it was only kind of later that the significance of the climate risk became apparent. We were also able, using fracking and other types of technology, to access a lot more fossil fuels than previously thought, which is, helpful for lowering the cost of gasoline, but it's pretty bad for the total tonnage of CO2 that you could put in the atmosphere. It's now greatly beyond what people previously thought. So, but this is, as we were just going through in this presentation, it's like it is a absolutely monumental task to accelerate the advent of sustainable energy. I mean, the entire global economy is still, more than 99% dependent on, or roughly 99% dependent on fossil fuels. So although electric cars kind of get a lot of press right now, they're still, and there's still very few, as a percentage of the total global fleet, is practically nothing. I would say, yes, less than 1% of the global fleet is electric right now. Because of 2 billion cars and trucks and whatnot in use. So there's a massive amount of work ahead, just insane, like hard to comprehend how much work is ahead to get the new vehicle production to be sustainable, to massively increase the amount of stationary storage, which is critical because renewable energy is intermittent. Wind and solar is intermittent. Sometimes the wind doesn't blow, and obviously the sun doesn't shine at night. So you got to have batteries, a massive number of batteries. So
it's hard to measure in direct impact, but it's an experiment that we shouldn't be performing, and the sooner we can sort of end the experiment, the sooner we can kind of move on in a fully sustainable way that is actually lower cost. I mean, I think the thing that people haven't fully internalized is once we do get to the 25K car, the ownership cost of that car is incredibly lower than the prior car. And then on the solar side and wind, with the cost of solar and wind coming down and with batteries coming down with them, the actual cost of energy on the grid is going down. So we're sort of moving towards a sustainable, lower cost future. So there's not really a sacrifice.
Yeah, that's true. It is a false dichotomy to say that it's either prosperity or sustainability. This is often used, by oil and gas to say like, oh, well, do you want people to lose their jobs? Do you want lower people's standards of living? Do you want to, make all these economic sacrifices, really, in order to have sustainability? And the reality, as Drew was saying, is that a sustainable energy is going to be lower cost, not higher cost than fossil fuels.
Elon, quick question for you, right here in front. First, thanks for having everyone, and as telling a friend, the one company to go work for that's going to have the biggest structural impact over the next 10 years at scale, it's probably Tesla. So kudos to everyone at Tesla for what they've done to this point and going forward. The two questions for you, as you've looked at the auto and the storage markets, I know you've talked about it at kind of 50-50 long term, but it seems like a lot of the battery cost curve achievements that you've presented today really make some of these storage opportunities much more feasible over the next 5 years. And so I guess the first part of the question is, does your calculus upon learning and improving these things change on that 50-50 mix, or is there a role where storage becomes bigger? And then the second part of the question, with all these huge grand visions, who's going to be with Tesla from a corporate perspective accomplishing these things? Obviously, Tesla can't do it alone. But when you look at some of the traditional auto industry or power, et cetera, I don't see a lot of other Teslas.
Well, actually, so there's a lot of companies in China that I think are doing great work with electric vehicles and also with stationary storage. Although we don't see that much in the US yet, but I think probably we will in the future. I don't know. I mean, obviously, we're doing everything we can to encourage other companies to move to sustainable transport. And also, make stationary storage batteries. We opened up, made our patents freely available. We really try to tell these companies, hey, you really need to do this, or you won't exist in the future. But they don't believe it, So I mean, we've talked until we're blue in the face. What are we supposed to do? But we really are hopeful that other companies will also do what we're doing, and that will make a sustainable future come sooner.
From a fundamental market size perspective, like we did the first ground up work to show the size of the market in terawatt hours, and they are roughly 50-50. 10 terawatt hours for transportation, 10 terawatt hours for the grid. And part of that is because the grid batteries, because when you're making a power plant, you're making a large investment. Our 25-year assets are greater. If the grid batteries were 10-year kind of things, the grid market would be bigger. But because it's a longer duration asset, they're roughly the same size.
Thinking long term, is there any other segments that this new battery will be able to disrupt or electrify? beyond just the initial Model 2 or cheaper sedan, like a boat, boring company loop, plane, boat?
Where are you, Golly?
Are you
There?
good? What's up? Right here.
Okay, great.
Yeah, I'm just like a hint
it's like
on the
ventriloquism here, you know. It's like we just get the sound out of the speaker and you can't tell where the heck it's coming from.
Yeah, any hints, or is the Model 2 such a big deal because it decreases the cost of transportation that is really the disruption? Or should we get hyped that this new cost curve opens up different vehicle categories like a high passenger density bus, boring loop, boat, plane?
Well, I mean, there are batteries in limited production right now that do exceed 400 watt-hours per kilogram, which I think is about the number you need for decent range, medium range aircraft. And I think our batteries will, over time, start to approach the 400 watt-hours per kilogram range as well. Yeah, I mean, I think over time we'll see all modes of transport, with the ironic exception of rockets, transition to sustainability, or to electric, basically. On the rocket front, what we're planning to do is like about 80% of Starship is liquid oxygen, and we're actually already running a power line to be able to use wind power to create the liquid oxygen. So we're making some decent progress on sustainability on the rocket front, but there's just no way to have an electric rocket, and it's important for the future of life and consciousness that we become a multi-planet species. So got to keep doing that.
Hi, Elon.
Hello.
Josh Phillips here, retail investor. I have a question in regards to the lithium and nickel industries and the likely price spikes and shortages of high-grade materials the EV industry is likely to see if they don't act fast to address future supply. Tesla have clearly made the right moves that are necessary, but there's a real worry that the potential supply issues and price spikes will create a drag on the rest of the EV industry, and therefore a drag on global EV adoption. What advice would you give to the EV and mining industries to quickly solve this looming hurdles? Because for a sustainable energy future, the spice must flow. Thank you.
Yeah, indeed, the spice must flow. The new spice. I don't know. I think I'm not sure. I guess we can try to basically overdo it in cell production and perhaps supply cells to others. But we do see the fundamental constraint as total cell production. That's why we're putting so much effort into making cells and kind of trying to reinvent every aspect of cell production from mining the ore to a complete battery pack, because it's the fundamental constraint. We're not getting into the cell business because we, just for the hell of it. It's because it's the fundamental constraint. It's the thing that is the limiting factor for rapid growth. But we could certainly try to overdo it on cell production and perhaps sell cells to others. Although we are going at absolute top speed, so it's not like we're holding it back. But I think just making really efficient cars and that have low drag coefficient, low rolling resistance, efficient powertrains. I mean, that's kind of what we've done in order to make iron phosphate still have a good range. So the iron phosphate's lower energy density solution, but there's while there are some limitations on the total amount of nickel produced every year, there's really no limit on the iron. There's so much iron, it's ridiculous. So you can really scale up iron phosphate, at a raw materials basis faster, more than you can nickel. But yeah.
And just to point out, when we were walking through this presentation, we intentionally separated all the different aspects. The benefits of structural battery apply to a iron-based cathode in the same way they apply to a nickel-based cathode. Yeah. So you get longer range iron-based vehicles, and also the silicon benefit can apply to the iron-based vehicles as well. So we can do a lot to extend the range of an iron-based vehicle, which is why it's a key part of the roadmap going forward. And then I invited Turner up here to talk about what the mining industry can do.
Yeah. Diversification on the cathode side is obviously massive, and EVs are all about efficiency, and so for the EV industry, for the vehicle industry,
came up with this
we need to
tabless
see
architecture.
powertrain efficiency really increase
Innovation.
at all other companies matching Tesla powertrain efficiency,
Now, I
so
mean,
that
is-
everyone can have that diversified cathode approach, where LFP is used in medium range and even really make a 300-mile vehicle with LFP. And really the goal that we were trying to present here was a model for vertical integration, strategic vertical integration that a lot of different people can do. What we need to see is vertical integration that shortens the process path from mine to cathode. And what we're doing here is novel, and we're trying to push the industry in that direction. So we're presenting a model here that anyone can follow.
Yeah, in fact, if there's anything that you guys want to comment on, feel free to step forward and say something.
I think the key is to be smart about your chemistry choices,
your
materials choices.
Spoke louder.
Yeah, if you're smart about your materials choices, the spice will continue to flow.
Yeah.
You don't need to
Came up
use
with this
the same
tabless
kind
architecture
everywhere.
that maybe
And if you
dramatically
of active area,
it's about strategically planning it out. And for miners, I think we are incentivizing them quite a bit to ramp up their production.
Yeah, and actually we had good calls. Like they're all motivated. I think that they've been sort of sitting back, being like, "Are you going to grow like crazy?" And we're like, "Yeah, we're going to grow like crazy." And then I think this indicates we're going to grow like crazy, and that's what the miners want to hear. And then they'll go make the investments.
Hello, Elon. This is Ben Limpick. I'm a musician. I was wondering, does Tesla have any future plans to make partnerships with music companies like it has done with 10-cent games or things like that for you guys to actually kind of expand your services for artists and other types of creative people to get involved in producing content that can be part of the Tesla ecosystem, or so other people that do creative things can get involved with you guys?
Well, we don't. We haven't really thought about that much, but I suppose it's probably something we should think about. We will be providing a title on Teslas. So we're providing more music sources that people can choose from, and just generally trying to improve the entertainment experience in the cars. And I think actually, as we go to a more autonomous future, the importance of entertainment and productivity will become greater and greater. I mean, to the degree that if you're just basically sitting in your car, the car is fully autonomous and driving somewhere, it's sort of like being, the car is essentially your chauffeur.
Let's talk a little bit about what's in a cell factory.
And then
first, there's an electrode process where
let's
the
have
active
good
materials are
entertainment
coated
and, if you want to do some
into
productivity
films
stuff,
onto foils.
Then that
then
actually
those
starts to become much
coated
more
foils
important
are
because you're no
wound
longer
in
spending your
the winding
attention
process
driving the
we
car.
just talked about. Where
So
if
it'll
you
be
do have
extremely
tabs, you
important
have
in
to
the
start
future.
and stop a lot.
Should we do some of the
then
say.com?
the jelly roll is
questions?
assembled into the can, sealed,
Okay.
Filled with electrolyte, and then sent to formation, where the cell is charged for the first
Should we do the
time.
second one?
And
Yeah,
where the
first one I
sort
think
of
we
the
already answered. Like
electrochemistry
if
is
we're
set
if we
and
have
the quality of the
if
cell
we're
is
able to
verified.
make enough cells,
And we
which
set
we'll
out
try to do,
at
we will supply other companies. It's definitely not an intentional effort to keep the cells to ourselves. If we can make enough for other companies, we will supply them.
We came up with this
And we're
tabless
trying to do
architecture
the right thing
that maybe
for
you've heard about,
advancing the sustainable
that-
energy, whatever that is. So what does this mean for our future products? Vehicle to grid, we get asked that a lot. We're confident that long term.
I think one thing that's
important
to note is
a vehicle to grid $25,000 electric vehicle. It doesn't unless you have a power cutoff. Like you need to cut off your main supply to the grid. Otherwise, if you lose the power in your house, you'll basically just backflow energy to the grid. So just having a reversal in the power flow does not actually keep the lights on. You need a whole separate system to cut off power to the grid. And I think there's also the case that people really want the freedom to be able to drive and to charge at their house. And it's obviously really problematic if you get to morning and your car, instead of being charged, it discharged into the house. And then you're sort of, okay, now I can either drive or use the battery to power my house. I think it's actually going to be better for people's freedom of action to have
architecture
a
that
power
maybe
wall and a car
So we have
separate.
and extreme performance and range.
And then it's
and we should probably talk about
everything
the,
works.
Model S Plaid.
What about that? You add that, you basically combine that with solar, either solar retrofit or solar glass roof, and local battery storage, so you basically become your own utility. And then the car is, can be charged also with solar. I think that's like the stuff that works. That said, like we can certainly do vehicle to grid. I think we can basically enable that with software in Europe or something, right?
Yeah. We are future generations of power electronics. We will be able to do this more or less everywhere from a like energy market participation perspective. But yeah, from a backing up the house, and it just so happens that the way the North American connectors are on all the cars in North America, it doesn't matter whether it's the Tesla connector or the connector that the other vehicles have, doesn't actually support powering your home. It's unfortunate. So you'd need an additional hardware to do that. But yeah, in the future, all versions of our vehicles will be able to at least do bidirectional power flow for the purposes of energy market participation. But even for that, it's important to remember that your car isn't plugged in 24/7. So it's kind of an unpredictable resource for the grid. It'll have a value, but it's not the same as a stationary battery pack.
Yeah, honestly, a vehicle to grid sounds good, but I think actually has a much lower utility than people think. I think very few people would actually use vehicle to grid, and we actually had with the original Roadster, we had vehicle to grid capabilities. Nobody used it.
Yep. How do we find the engineers to do everything we're saying?
How do we find the engineers to do all these things? I guess we recruit a lot of engineers from all parts of the world. I think Tesla has a good reputation for doing exciting engineering, and that tends to attract a lot of the top engineers in the world, because they know that their efforts at Tesla will really serve the greater good, and we're super hardcore about engineering. Tesla is like first and foremost an engineering company. It's like hardcore engineering is what we do. Like the sheer amount of hardcore engineering done at Tesla is insane. And if you look at, say, there's various surveys done of engineering schools, where do you want to go? Like, what's your top choices? And actually, the top two choices last few years have been Tesla and SpaceX. So sometimes it's Tesla first, sometimes SpaceX first, but those are the two top ones.
Yeah, I mean, if you are motivated to solve some of these problems, which are the hardest problems in the world to solve, that really fundamentally enable the future we all need, please reach out.
Yeah, and
help us work on these problems.
Absolutely, and like you said, the battle is far from over. Less than 1% of the global automotive fleet has been converted to electric, and even maybe less than 0.1% of stationary storage has been done. So stationary storage has barely begun. Converting the global vehicle fleet to electric has barely begun. So there's still a massive amount of engineering work to be done at Tesla and other companies to accelerate this transition to sustainability.
Hey, can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
This is Jordan from Mark Asset Management. So you've talked about the importance of the factory, and you've mentioned the ground-up design process and a lot of the new things that you're going to be doing or started to do in Shanghai, Berlin, and Austin. Can you just maybe help us understand and quantify like how financially meaningful all of those improvements will be? And then given what you're trying to accomplish as a company, is it fair to assume that the vast majority of improvement will be given back to the customer in the form of lower prices?
Yeah, I mean, I think certainly we will try to give back as much as possible to the customers. It's not like, it's not like Tesla's profitability is crazy high. Our average profitability for the last 4 quarters is like maybe 1%. So just to be clear, it's not like, we're minting money. Our valuation makes it seem like we are, but we're not. We do want to try to make the price as competitive as we can. So we have and extreme performance and range. If you lose money, then if you keep losing money, you'll just die. So we have to. This thing called profit is just like we need to bring in more money than we spend, otherwise we're dead. So.
But affordability is key to how we scale, right? Like the demand goes nonlinear as you reduce the price of the car.
Yeah, I mean it's important to sort of separate what does this mean between affordability and value for money, or desirability of the product. So, for a lot of people, they want to buy a Tesla, they simply don't have enough money. We could make the car infinitely desirable, but if somebody does not have enough money, they can't buy it. Sometimes, people, kind of forget this. It's like, it's like people have to have enough money to buy the car, and just making a car super desirable but expensive does not mean they can afford it. So it's absolutely critical that we make cars that people can actually afford. Yeah. So, where should we go some of these things? Just scroll down or something. Oh.
When do you expect Tesla vehicles to beat ICE vehicles on initial purchase price? I think a way to answer that question is, in the classes of vehicles we sell today, we're already doing that.
Yeah, we're already pretty close. And then factoring in total cost of ownership, and the fact that electric vehicles require much less servicing, and are way cheaper to run. When you look at total cost of ownership, and you can obviously lease a car. So if you just lease a car or get a loan for a car, you've got your sort of monthly payment.
We came up with this tabless architecture,
either gasoline or electricity, and your cost of servicing, and the fully considered cost of an electric car is much less than a gasoline car of the same nominal purchase price. I mean, that said, and maybe on the order of 3 years, when we can do a lower cost car, like a $25,000 car, I think that will be basically on par, maybe slightly better than a comparable gasoline car. So I think maybe it's on the order of 3 years-ish.
How have the technology advancements and increased vertical integration of battery manufacturing influenced your ability to improve the environmental and social impact of the supply chain? And I think, yeah.
I think we sort of have said that already.
Yeah.
Do you have some ability to scroll through this? Just scroll
we
away.
came up with this tabless architecture that maybe you've heard about, that we covered recycling.
Yeah. Well, just scroll until we've got stuff that we haven't covered.
Well, we definitely covered that top one.
Yeah, a lot of these things we've already answered, I think.
Covered that. That one. I think we
literally just answered that.
Yeah. Oh, I saw a cathode durability question. Let's go to that one. Go down, go down, go down. Good technical question. Keep going. How are you going to address the cathode durability and cost and environmental impact trifecta? Is this something you're going to leave the upstream supply chain to solve? No, I think we tried to answer that directly. I mean, we really are looking at not just what happens in the cathode facility, but currently outside the cathode facility that should really be inside, and removing processes that shouldn't have been there in the first place, and the use of reagents that are just costly and not necessary, and removing a bunch of wastewater from the process.
Guys, is there anything you want to add to? Maybe we could go through everyone and maybe say what you're doing and say a few words. I don't know.
Sure. I just want to reiterate the fact that this is a massive problem.
Massive problem.
And it seems like Tesla's on its way and ahead, but we need everybody's help, because it's everybody's planet, and we're not going to get to 20 terawatt-hours by ourselves. So please think about this carefully, as it affects everybody. So let's get on it.
Yeah. And obviously, if you care about solving sustainability and doing hardcore engineering, definitely come work at Tesla.
Yeah, we went through a couple of the manufacturing improvements, and it kind of looks easy when you put together a nice slide deck, but the challenges are this. It's super challenging when you take materials out of the process, when you integrate processes together. You have to do a lot of things at once, and that's like this immense engineering challenge. And so to appreciate that, you need to get through this, we need the best engineers we've got, and we've got this awesome team. I just want to shout out also to all of our team watching, like, you guys are awesome. Like, you absolutely kicked ass putting this together. And yeah.
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you, Tesla team. Totally agree.
Yeah, that's it. Like, yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Rodney Westmoreland, managing the construction here at Tesla. What I would like to say is, one, shout out to the team. The team has been working effortlessly. A very, very tough project here for 24 hours a day, it seems like, around the clock to have this complete. The thing that sets us apart from a lot of other construction, yeah, we have a construction company here. The thing that sets us apart is that we're integrated in the manufacturing process. So every detail that comes from Drew's mouth is directly implicated into the system that we're building. That way, what would typically take 3 or 4 months to create a specification, our design team is working right with the manufacturing team to allow us to speed that process up tremendously. So.
Yeah, it's definitely a important part of the vertically integrated approach is to be able to design the factory around the equipment, in fact, together with the equipment, so that you can build the factory at lower cost and more quickly.
Yeah, I'm Scott. I focus on cell design. I think it's hard to put into words how inspiring this is. I've been at it for a long time with Tesla, and
yeah,
I really hope others do join us.
Since when, Scott?
Since 2005. Yep,
yes.
With many of you, but thank you. You know, it. 6. Yeah, a year before Drew, but who's keeping track? But I'm really stoked at what the team's been able to accomplish over the last, short period of time, about a year. It's been really an incredible transformation. I mean, hopefully what we've shown you inspires you to join us or join somebody else in the effort. And I couldn't think of a greater, more intelligent, more hardworking team to be working on with this problem.
Hi, Peter. I lead the manufacturing improvement team. And I guess the point that I would like to make is manufacturing improvements is like the accelerator. So like you think about the execution that Rodney talked about in terms of how fast we've been able to put together this factory, which is amazing and something that's been really incredible to be a part of. That's not enough. What we need to do is improve the manufacturing technology. That's the real accelerator. And that's what we're really focused on. Elon talks about it all the time, that really going and improving that system is what will enable us to get to the scale and the cost that we need. And then the other point that I would make is on the recruiting side, like, it doesn't matter if you know about batteries. If you come from any industry, you can do something fantastic in the work that we're doing. We talk to people from industries that you wouldn't imagine. Like I talked to a guy who makes golf balls, and he has stuff which is really impactful for what we're doing. So, if you're in any industry and you want to be, impactful here, like, come join us. It'd be great.
Hi, excuse me. Hi, I'm Tony. I've been working in lithium and cathode materials for almost 23 years now, and this is the most growth I've seen in a company. I've been here a little over a year and a half. We're hiring amazing people that are allowing us to leverage technology that most of the industry is struggling to achieve. So to answer the question, how are we going to do this? We are really advancing the materials manufacturing for cathodes and for lithium beyond what has been accomplished in the previous 20 years.
It's exciting.
Yeah, my name's Turner. Work closely with the team. I've worked a lot with everyone here, and on the cathode and upstream materials side, it's really important that everyone understand that this growth is coming. This growth is real. We are going to make all of these batteries, and everyone needs to grow with us. The entire supply chain needs to grow with us. And if you have an idea that simplifies anything in the supply chain, come talk to us, come work with us, and let's do it.
Any existing specification is wrong. Any existing
That's
manufacturing method is wrong. Process equipment, it's wrong. It's just a question of how wrong.
Yes.
Quote
Exactly.
Elon Musk.
Yes, exactly. We're wrong. Just a question of how wrong. Just try to be less wrong.
So tell us how we're wrong and how we could do it better so that we can accelerate and improve as fast as possible.
All right. Well, I guess thank you everyone for coming. I hope you liked the presentation. Very exciting future ahead. We're going to work our damnedest to transition the world to sustainable energy as quickly as possible. And your support and help is key to that success. So thanks again. Super appreciated. And look forward to the next event. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, folks, that is it for the stream for the Live Battery Day event. Shout out to everybody who stuck around till the end. I hope you guys enjoyed it. It was very insightful. I learned things I had no idea were even things when it comes to battery and battery production. We managed to get 100 likes on the stream, so a big thank you again. As you guys can see, the stock went through a little bit of an up and then straight back down, which is fairly interesting. But let me just, no, that's not what I want to do. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed, and if you did, be sure to drop a like, subscribe if you are new. We're going to be doing this for all future events, and I will have a cut down version of this posted shortly to the channel, so if you missed anything, be sure to keep an eye out for that. Again, thanks for coming.